Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's get settled in.
Hey Fred, how the heck are you?
Yes, it's limited to 3 minutes.
Hey Fred, now do us later on my TV.
Okay, good one. Lady, are you done?
Oh, yeah,
Thank you. We will have called the meeting to order. We will now have our invocation by Chair Miniger and the introduction of the Pledge of Allegiance by Director Heft.
Dear wise and loving Father, first let me say thank you on behalf of all who are gathered here this morning. Thank you for your many and abundant blessings in Orange County. Thank you for beautiful life itself. For the measure of health, we need to fulfill our callings for sustenance and for friendship. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor of bearing appropriate responsibilities. Thanks as well for the freedom to embrace you or the freedom to reject you. Thank you for loving us even so from your boundless and gracious nature. We pray for our elected officials from 19 cities and the County of Orange, for the various levels of the transportation corridor agencies, and in particular for these two assembled boards of directors. I'm asking that you would graciously grant us, one, wisdom to govern amid the potential conflict in interest and the issues of our mobility. Two, a sense of the welfare and true needs for our residents and commuters. Three, a keen thirst for justice and rightness. Four, confidence in what is good and fitting. Five, the ability for all these two boards members to work together in harmony, even when there may be honest disagreement. And six, personal peace in our lives and joy in our governing tasks. I pray for the agenda set before us this morning. Please give an assurance of what would please you and what would benefit those who live, work, and commute in and around our beloved County of Orange. It is in your most blessed name we pray. Amen.
Amen. That was spectacular.
All right, good morning, everyone. As you can see, all around you are flags, and we are celebrating Flag Day in our wonderful nation. And being the mother of a Boy Scout myself, it is my privilege and honor to introduce to you Boy Scout Troop 774 from Laguna Woods to lead us in our color guard ceremony.
Thank you, Chair Sachs, Chair Minigar, Director Heft. Audience, attention. Color guard, attention. Color guard, advance. Color guard, halt. Color guard, prepare to post the colors. If appropriate, please salute. If not, please place your right hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. Color guard, post the colors. Color guard, honor your colors. 2. Color guard, regroup. Color guard, dismissed. Audience at ease.
So can the color guard come back and get the flag so we can see the,
There's a lot of flags.
the board has enough flags to hide behind. We don't need one more. Well done, gentlemen. At one point, I thought it was an Iwo Jima reenactment, but thank you very much. Now ask the clerk to call roll. Just come off.
Chair Miniger,
Present.
Vice Chair Piotr,
Here.
Director Reichheimer,
Here.
Director Heft,
Here.
Director Munsing,
Here.
Director Vikstorik,
Here.
Director Beal,
Here.
Director Moreno,
Here.
Director Murphy, Director Puckett,
Here.
Director Voits,
Here.
Director Ward, Alternate Campbell,
Here.
Chair Sachs,
Here.
Vice Chair Shea,
Yes.
Director Bartlett,
Here.
Director Marriott,
Here.
Director Martinez,
Present.
Alternate Gardner. We have quorum.
Thank you very much. We now move to, excuse me. We now move to public comments. At this time, members of the public may address the boards regarding any items within the subject matter jurisdiction of the boards, but no action may be taken on off-agenda items unless authorized by law. Comments shall be limited to 2 minutes per person and one-hour period for comments unless different times limits are set by the chair subject to approval. If needed, public comments will be held before closed session portion of the agenda during public comments continued part 2 and shall be limited to 2 minutes per person for comments unless different time limits are set and the chair subject to the approval of the board. So I guess our first presentation, excuse me, our first public comment is a presentation for your edification, Director. Gata Gantas, I'm sorry if I can't pronounce your name properly, but that wasn't my best feature in college.
It's Gada Gantus.
Thank you very much.
This one? Okay. Good morning, board members. My name is Gada Gantus, and I am here today to talk about development fees. I'd like to start with a quick background on this program for those in the room who may not be familiar with it. Back in the mid-'80s, the state legislature authorized the creation of the TCA, and a joint powers agreement was made with a few of the Orange County cities and the county. The purpose of the TCA was to finance, design, and build toll roads and then go out of business. How did they fund these toll roads? Through several means: revenue bonds, development impact fees, TCA Transportation Commission grants, and state and local transportation funding programs. In other words, taxes and public monies. What are the development impact fees? Fees or taxes paid to the TCA anytime a new home is built or remodeled. Also, fees paid on commercial space that's constructed in the area benefiting from the toll roads. In 1985, the TCA forecasted that almost 50% of the cost of the toll roads was going to be paid through development impact funds. On a residential unit, that's paid per unit basis, and on commercial units, it's paid per square footage basis. Who pays these fees? You'll see a list of cities there. That's a lot of money coming to the TCA from development fees, and it's been calculated at about $2 billion over the life of the program. Think of what could be done with this money if it had stayed in each of these cities. When we talk about local areas of benefit, you can see a map there with color coding. Some of the areas on the chart cover the San Joaquin Hills Toll Road area, and others the Foothill Eastern Toll Road areas. Each area of benefit has 2 zones, A and B, with corresponding rates. There's a website at the bottom if you'd like to go in and plug in your address and see how much you paid. For my particular home, it was over $5,600. Why should we care about these fees? Because these are taxes. This is our money that's going out of our pockets. And if you look at Irvine, over a 4-year period, it's almost $100 million. That's money that's left the city and gone to the TCA.
Thank you very much. Next, we have a presentation, and the following people will be called up: Jen B., AQ, Carol, and Laura S. Should we not have full names, Madam Clerk, at some point? Not going to do it now, but. Please proceed.
I just want to report that revenues are up
15%.
That's his toll road.
That's my toll road.
Mine was up 9.
See, these are metrics. These are things, I love this stuff.
Yeah, but
The big,
That's like 4 more cars.
you charge more.
it's very true.
I'm looking at the November 16th item for ledge, and we're getting bombarded at the county and at TCA. Take the comments, but take it with a grain of salt.
For their recent planning activities, the TCA, either inadvertently or on purpose, it's unclear, has reopened a number of project decisions that the OCTA board has already made through our South County Major Investment Study or through your long-range transportation planning process, or promised new activities or projects that, again, have already been screened out. So that has created some of the confusion. And
Perhaps the TCA has been, its best self-fulfilling prophecy that the 241 won't get extended. They haven't built a road in 20 years. And what would be better? Is 30 a better number? I don't know. Maybe 40. And the real question is, what are they doing focused on all this other stuff? I mean, what is wrong with this agency that they cannot focus? The one task that they were tasked with completing has completely befuddled them for 20 years. They spent $210 million in advocacy. Let that sink in for a minute, right? The definition of insanity is what exactly? Same group of people, same thing. This is an endless slot machine. And like the high-speed rail, I guarantee you, there is a small core of people that are 100% for continuing this, and they're all getting paid. It's offensive. They repeatedly have proven they are tone deaf, they don't learn lessons, and they are clearly not focused on completing their task and not capable of completing their task. So whatever the outcome is, if we want a 241, help me understand if 20 years isn't the answer. When do we finally say, you are not the group that's best suited to do this? I mean, an extraordinary mission creep when they start getting into the 5 freeway. What was the TCA created to do? And what, if anything, does that have to do with the 5 freeway other than tying in south of San Clemente? I mean, nothing. They're not Caltrans. They're not the regional transit agency. But when you tell them this, they don't want to hear it. And this is unfortunately, a misbehaving child. And we've talked to them, and we're just going to have to start taking some privileges away, knowing the things they've tried to do to take over this agency's responsibility. It's our responsibility to make sure that these projects don't get into this morass and let someone totally incapable of running a project touch any of these things. How many miles of roadway have we built or have under construction on the freeway system in the last 8 years, Mr. Johnson?
Since 1991, we've spent about $12 billion. In the last decade, it's been about $2 billion, and probably
with another $2 billion to go on the books with Mr. Beal, formerly from Caltrans, leading the effort. If there's going to be a road built, who realistically should be building the road in Orange County from a government standpoint? Who hasn't built any road in 20 years? This whole thing makes no sense. And if TCA was capable of doing this, at least they would have focused their last 20 years on planning, not consultants, not road building, because they haven't had a road to build. They would have focused on how to cobble together a team to plan this roadway and pick a route. And all they've done is make enemies and invigorate them. And that is not a winning combination for anyone, not for the citizens, not for our agency, not for people in San Diego and Orange County trying to traverse. It's just an embarrassment. This is a complete waste of time. Went there and talked about tolling and all this other nonsense. This agency runs the 91 freeway. Kirk and his team do a great job. We spend 15 minutes a year. That's how long it takes to be in the property management business of a toll road. Yet they have 2 boards that meet constantly, talk about nothing, get 0 done, and just churn a bunch of fees, spend a bunch of money on consultants, and have nothing to show for it except for angry residents and lawsuits.
You're absolutely right, and the 2 gentlemen that spoke earlier were correct, and that it is a tolling agency, and that was its primary purpose.
that have been improved around the Rancho Mission Viejo plant. Las Patrones was part of that program that's opened OCTA helped fund a significant portion of La Pata, and the board directed us to finish the widening of Ortega. So I think, I don't speak on behalf of the ranch, but I think they understand what the roadway network is there and from their housing perspective. But
Right, and that's a very polite way of saying, well, I mean, we all get what he means. Anyone that cares to be bored with the TCA finance issue, I'd be happy to stick around afterwards, but let's not go there for now. I'll just leave you with this. They did not have to refinance $2 billion in refinancing, and the roads would have been available to the public for free, I think now within 10 years. The main thrust, the argument when I was in the room that we absolutely have to refinance these roads is because they weren't meeting their debt covenant and they wouldn't be able to finance the 241. So now that the public is 30 years away from ever driving on those roads for free because of this completely made up reason, because if they ever actually got through the 241, everyone I talked to that had Wall Street connections to transportation funding said that would fund itself. I mean, that's where all the traffic is. So it would be irrelevant. It would be a standalone. And now you have all this debt. You have no ability for your residents. I mean, they're my friends, but they're your residents. Drive these roads for free, and it's all because they refinanced. They didn't need to. They had no obligation to meet their debt covenants. That's what the risk is when you issue the bond issuance. You know, that's what the whole calculation is based on. And there was no obligation for the agency to max out their credit card. You know, worse, the bonds sell at a discount because they're distressed, and that happens every day. And you know, could have happened again. But the residents' chance to get what they were promised, which was those free roads, was lost because of total fiction.
Mismanagement.
And clearly they haven't built the road. I mean, that sales pitch was, you know, Pat Bates was still on the board then. It was probably 5 years ago, maybe 4. You know, we're 4 years in, and just extended the life and paying a lot of fees, and not sure what we got out of that, but.
And today, my name is Laura Smith from San Clemente, and I also ask you with my voice not to approve these contracts that are going to be before you. One is even a $35,000 contract, which may not seem like a lot. In the Orange County Register, you saw one up there as a sample today that ran in 2018, telling people to take the toll road. I really believe people know what road they want to take. They don't need to be told what road to take. They have MapQuest. They have their maps on their phone that they just put in, and they'll find out which is the fastest road to take. You do not need to take an ad. Another is a $1.8 million contract, again, with Venture Strategic. They just, last couple of meetings ago, they harassed us San Clemente citizens, and we were told that we were being paid by our council to create mayhem. And I'm part of the No Toll Road movement, that we are just trying to fight to keep the toll road away from my home, and our council has nothing to do with us. And I would please do not have this contract with them. It's a waste of our money. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Thank you for your comments. Michelle S.
Good morning, Board of Directors. Happy summer. I have for you today, for each of the board members, both San Joaquin and Foothill, a copy of the JPA agreements from inception in 1988 until your second amended and restated JPA agreement, which is in 2002. There seems to be some very huge confusion, and I'm sure as board members and with your fiduciary duty to the taxpayers and is your oath to uphold the Constitution and all of the things, the wonderful things that you guys are doing to lead and make good choices, that you'd want to know what the rules were for this agency. So we've taken the time to, please, Martha, give it to the board. We've given everyone a copy. It's tabs. So the blue tab is probably the most important tab for you today. It's blue throughout the agreements. It states very clearly, with no confusion, no ambiguity whatsoever, that this board, you here in this room, are to review annually the development fees on an annual basis. It can even be done more often if you guys deem that it was necessary. I think that based on the fact that it has been increased annually at 2.63 for our Foothill, and for San Joaquin, I'm sorry, I don't know the number, that it is probably time for a review of the development fees. And considering that the TCA, well, let's be honest, hasn't built anything in 20 years, has given up the only route on the legislative map, it's probably time to stop collecting the development fees from your taxpayers and residents. I can tell you that the $16,000 to $20,000 that it's going to cost our family for our initial development fee 10 years ago of $5,173, I could use that money for my kids' college later. I would love to have it for retirement. It offends me to know that you guys today will be voting on trips to Salzburg for conferences. I'm sorry, the TCA had a promise. It was to build 2 roads, pay down the bonds in 20 years, which clearly that's been blowing, and then go out of town. Please stop this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ava O'Keefe.
Hello. Hello, thank you for your service. My name is Ava O'Keefe. I'm the president of the Reserve, and I am reading some declarations from 2 residents of the Reserve. This were included on the temporary restraining order that was filed by the Reserve. I am sure none of you have seen it. My name is Tim Garrett. Declare, if I call out a witness, I could and would completely testify to all the facts. Okay, after conducting market research with a real estate agent, Alicia Hartonoff, my wife and I decided to list our home for $1.850. We put that home to sell quickly. We had countless viewings and a ton of interest from prospective buyers. However, we did not receive one single offer to purchase our home until August 2017. We finally received an offer from Robert and Denise Riley. We were relieved and thrilled given the length of time that had passed without one single offer. After 3 weeks after we entered in escrow, the Rileys' real estate agent, Tracy Fullenkamp, notified us that the Rileys had learned that the TCA was proposing to extend the 241 route through San Clemente. The Rileys were particularly concerned with Route 14. Ultimately, the Rileys decided to cancel escrow, and the sole reason they gave us for canceling was they were concerned about the possibility of the 241. A true and correct copy of the cancellation of the contract, release of deposit, and cancellation of escrow is included. Another gentleman named Bob Shepard also tried to sell his home. He actually priced it at 1.375, which was way below the 1.425. He actually ended up selling the house for $195,000 less, 1.18, the lowest price in the Reserve in 4 years. Based on my conversations with various prospective home buyers who visited my home, the difficulty came that every single buyer that was learned about the toll road did not put an offer. So you are creating irreparable harm to my community. So stop the charade, pay down the bonds.
Thank you very much. Nancy C.
And here it is.
Is Nancy C. here?
Chair,
Yes.
can I ask a question? There was a document being passed around. Is it coming around to us? We haven't seen it over here.
I've informed Schumacher that there isn't enough copies, so she'll be providing me more.
Thank you. Are you ready? Please, thank
Nancy
you.
Coughlin, I'm a resident of San Clemente. We have a petition from the Courtney Sandcastle. It has 63,000 signatures on it. Wet signatures, 2,900. Online, 6,000. Abolish the TCA, 4,000. Patrons, 900. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian Ponkvar. I hope I pronounced your last name correctly, sir.
Thank you.
I've actually, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I've actually decided to withhold my comments for today, so I'll yield my time to whoever's next in line.
Thank you very much. Don Orchid? And I hope I didn't butcher your name, sir.
Yes, I yield to someone else. Thank you.
Thank you. Von Barnes.
I'm Vonnie Barnes, President of Rancho San Clemente Masters Association, representing 14 HOAs. Slide 1 is an update of worsening conditions at St. Andrew's Church parking lot on the bluff, where the base of the slope was removed to widen Pico and construct a 450-foot-long retaining wall. The vertical drop is greater than 30 feet, and there are new chasms forming in the slide. Over 55 parking spaces are gone. The plants and trees are growing through fissures in the lot. Slide 2 is a side of the bluff above the retaining wall viewed from Pico, showing deepening fissures in the Monterey land formation. The trees and shrubs along the bluff were destroyed in the landslide. This is the side of the bluff at the northeast end, where large chunks of land have broken away and fallen down the edge. The lighting pole is tilting towards the landslide as grounds continue to collapse. Geologists continue to monitor the progression of the slide. Landmarks have been added to the TCA's image of Toll Road 14 that runs directly through this active landslide. Findings in the 2003 to 2005 environmental impact reports advise that this could happen from cutting or grading into Monterey land formation. This is exactly what has happened. It was also advised that the cost of construction would be astronomical due to many retaining walls and caissons that would be needed to mitigate issues associated with unstable land. Besides the parking lot, Idea 14 runs along Blufftop Homes that you can see there that would also be compromised by grading and cutting into the unstable Monterey land formation. Based on the EIR and other findings, the TCA rejected Toll Road 14, which at the time was called the Central Corridor. Respectfully, I'm asking again that the TCA board instruct TCA staff to post the 2003 to 2005 EIRs on the website to make findings available for the TCA board,
Thank you.
members, and interested parties in order to make balanced, informed decisions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Tom Barnes?
Tom Barnes, San Clemente. The first slide shows the original map that we call Spaghetti Map 21 for the 21 routes that are depicted. This map was replaced by Spaghetti Map number 9, which narrowed the number of possible roadways to 9. The TCA, in promoting Route 14 in both Spaghetti 21 and Spaghetti 9 as an idea that originated with the public, is not true. The idea for Route 14 came from the TCA, not the public. This third map is promoting Route 14 in both Spaghetti 21 and Spaghetti 9. I'm sorry, I think I read that again. The third map shows the TCA's original map of Route 14, called the Central Corridor. Smart mobility engineers hired by the TCA advised against this route as it was deemed to be financially unfeasible and geologically unsuitable because of the instability of the Monterey land formation. The Central Corridor has been rebranded by the TCA as Route 14, but rebranding it does not make it new or more feasible. It was wrong in 2003 when it was rejected by the TCA on the advice of the consulting engineers, and it is just as wrong in 2018. On another note here, the TCA has failed the idea of transparency because they've taken away one of the 3 minutes that we used to get. We got 3 minutes. That seemed reasonable. Most cities allow 3 minutes. Back when I was on the city council, we would allow unlimited time, and that's why the meetings went to 1 o'clock sometimes. But democracy was served. What you've done by taking away this minute is you've lessened the amount of democracy that's available to the public. And it's wrong, and you need to restore the 3 minutes.
Thank you, sir. Adrian Marks.
There's a video for your observation.
Bay Paradise, put up a parking lot.
boutique and a swinging hot spot. And don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone? They play paradise and put up a parking lot. Took all the trees and put them in a tree museum. Then they charged all the people $1.50 just to see 'em. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone? They play paradise and put up a parking lot. Hey, farmer, farmer, put away the DDT now. You're finding spots on the apples, you're blaming the birds and the bees. Please, don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone? They play paradise and put up a parking lot. Late last night, I heard the screen door slam, and a big yellow taxi took off with my old man. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? They play paradise and put up a parking lot.
Thank you very much. Last public comment by Scott Reinhardt. Scott Reinhardt here. Public comments is now closed. So we move now to title number 3, special calendar. Foothill Eastern, item only, election of board chair and vice chair. I will open nominations for chair.
If I could, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Yes, I would like to nominate you for chair, and I'd like to share just a comment when we have a second, if we have a second.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you. We have a second. Comments?
Do we have any other nomination?
Do we have other nominations?
Okay, with that, the reason I just wanted to share with the board is that I thought because of all the multiple initiatives and the mobility efforts moving forward, generally the vice chair steps into that position, but I talked to our chair and I suggested it might be good to have him stay another year, and so that's why I am supporting you for the chair.
Thank you very much. I'll now call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank
Sen
you.
Committee will be opposing based on comments that Chair Sachs has made against Sen Clemente in the South County Mobility Project.
Very good. Now we go to vice chair, and I will nominate Christina Shea. Do we have a second?
Second that.
We have a second. Do we have any other nominations? Seeing none, it's approved by acclamation. Thank you very much. We now move to item 4, consent calendar for San Juan Hills, or San Joaquin Hills, items 2 through 9. Can I have a motion to move the minutes, or do I have a
Second.
motion to move? Do I have a second?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
just an abundance of caution, I'll move forward with everything else except for the approval of the minutes. I'm going to abstain.
Thank you. The clerk here will note all abstentions. Thank you very much. So we have a motion and a second to accept the minutes.
For consent.
Oh, for the whole consent, okay.
Chair, I want to pull one item on the consent then.
Which item is that?
Number 8.
Thank you. Number 8. Are there any other? Number 8.
Second.
All those in favor of passing the balance?
Aye.
All opposed? We go now to, it passes. We go now to item number 8, International Bridge, Tunnel, and Turnpike Association Summit Travel Authorization. Director Ward?
Samuel, I know we approved this in prior year. I was under the assumption it was a one-time opportunity that you attended, didn't realize that it was going to be every year. So I'm questioning why our agency would need to go to this, when it says something about our global, where is it? Providing a voice in the industry and efforts such as national interoperability, that part I get. But why we would need to travel to Austria to something like this for an agency where we were formed to build 2 transportation corridors and go out of business? We are not an agency that is supposed to go on and be a toll agency forever. That's not the agreement that our cities got into. So why would we keep attending this?
Mr. Chair, I'll take the question.
Mr. Kramer?
As you will recall, 2 years ago, this agency nominated Samuel for the position of second vice president with IBTTA. So that puts him on a leadership track in that organization, and there was an endorsement provided for that nomination. So he'll be second vice president, then first vice president, then ultimately president of this international organization. IBTTA provides a tremendous resources to our agency, as it is the tolling association really for the world, and it's very active here in the United States. And most of the activities are here in the United States, and for staff, we typically just, unless it's the annual conference, which is overseas once every 4 years, again, being an international organization, we definitely monitor who we would send and how we would incur costs for that. We do learn a tremendous amount from the organization by it being an international organization, in that Europe and other places are far ahead of the United States in terms of a lot of their tolling practices and technology. So that's important. Why we are recommending and asking for approval today for this travel for Mr. Johnson is that in his leadership role with IBTTA, there is a need for him to participate. He then represents us and we're able to learn there, but also in his leadership position with that association, it's extremely important that he participate in those international events.
Thank you. Do I have any other comments? Any other directors want to make comments?
I'll move approval
Second.
for San Joaquin.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Opposed? San
Thank
Clemente
you
for
very much.
San Joaquin.
We now move to,
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
if I may, just on the consent item, my apologies for this. I also needed to abstain on the minutes, as well as I was not present in that meeting. And I also would like to just note an abstention on items 18 and 19. I believe these 2 items may be in conflict with some ordinances we now have in Anaheim around sunshine and conflict of interest laws that we have in Anaheim, and some of the entities here have business in Anaheim and are contracted by folks in Anaheim that may conflict with our sunshine and lobbyist registry ordinances. So I would like to note an abstention on the part of Anaheim
thank you,
on
Director
item
Moreno.
18 and 19.
So noted. As lovely as all the flags are, I have trouble seeing you all. It may be to your benefit not to see me, but I'd like to see you as we talk. So now we move to Section 5, Foothill Eastern Consent Calendar. Do I have anyone who wants to pull any items from this consent calendar for Foothill Eastern?
I'll move 2 through 8 and 10 for the consent calendar.
We have a motion to move the consent
Linda
calendar.
DeCosta just not going to abstain from the minutes. Yeah, I'm going to abstain from the minutes.
Right. The clerk will note abstentions. Do I have
Chair.
a second?
I'll be abstaining from the minutes as well.
Thank you. Director Murphy?
Yeah, thank you. I need to abstain from item 6, record an abstention on the basis of potential conflict with.
Thank you very much. Did I get a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion on any of the items? Seeing none, all those in favor, noted with abstention, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. So now we move to, where do we move to? Section 6, Board Business Items 11 through 19. We begin with agenda item number 11, Transportation Corridor Agency Fiscal Year 2019 Budget. Item 12, excuse me, is the Foothill Eastern Transportation Budget. We will take the budget presentations on for both boards now, but we will be voting separately when we come to the approval or disapproval or wherever we go. So Amy, would you lead us off, please?
Yes, good morning.
Thank
This
you.
item is a request to approve the fiscal year 19 budget for each of the agencies. The budget process began when we started presenting some of these items to our committees in March and April. And then in April, we also had our traffic and revenue consultant come and make a presentation to the board. And then on April 25th, we provided a budget workshop where we looked at the budgets in detail and then took those recommendations and incorporated them into the budget and presented that budget again May 24th at the Joint Operations and Finance Committee meeting. So today, my presentation is very short, and then I will open it up to questions. The sources included in the Foothill Eastern budget total $589.9 million, and the sources in the San Joaquin Hills budget total $389.9 million. And the expenditures for the Foothill Eastern budget total $202.1 million. And for the San Joaquin Hills, the expenditures total $140.7 million. These budgets meet the fiduciary responsibility of the Board of Directors to the bondholders and also align with the agency's stated goals. So you have before you in your packet a resolution for San Joaquin Hills, and this summarizes what is included in that resolution. And here is the summary of the Foothill Eastern resolution that is included in front of you. And so with that, the recommendation for San Joaquin Hills is to approve Resolution S 2018-02 to approve the budget for fiscal year 19 in the amount of $140,658,943. And for the Foothill Eastern, to approve Resolution F 2018-02, approving the budget for fiscal year 19 in the amount of $202,061,271. That concludes my report, and I would be happy to address questions.
Thank you. Before we take questions, could you put the first slide up that you presented, please? Thank you. So I just want to remind the public that this is not the first time that the board in toto has seen this budget and has discussed this budget. There have been a number of committee meetings, including operations and finance, that have taken place before we've gotten to this point. So this is just a clarification for the public to understand how we got to this point. I now will entertain a motion to move the budget, or anyone who has anything they'd like to discuss.
So moved for San Joaquin.
San Joaquin needs a second?
Second. Chair, we skipped questions on the budget.
No, I haven't.
You mentioned questions,
I
if
asked
we
for-
had questions.
I asked for questions. I didn't hear or see anybody. So do you have a question?
Yes, I do.
Please, Director Ward.
Thank you. On page 8 of the budget, hopefully you have
which-
that in front of you.
Yes, are you talking about Foothill Eastern or San Joaquin Hills?
Foothill Eastern.
Okay.
I believe, yes. There was one line that I didn't understand. Are you there yet?
Yes, I am.
Okay. It says estimated total funds on hand at June 30th, 18.
Page 12.
$664,736,000. July activity related to to fiscal year 18, $63,875. What is that? I didn't understand that amount. July activity related to 2018, and it's $63 million.
Yes, so those, since we're showing you the cash budget, or the expected cash on hand of the $664 million, there are some expenditures that relate to fiscal year 18 that will be paid in July. The majority of that is debt service.
Okay, so you took that out.
Yes.
Okay. That's the only question I have, but I will have some comments on the 241 budget.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I do have a question since this involves also approving fees. Is that correct?
This is just the budget. I don't
Right,
believe
but-
we're approving fees.
Well, within the budget, what I just saw in the presentation, this is, the budget includes toll road revenues, fees, and whatnot. So this would
It
include
includes the
development fees,
revenues
correct?
that we would expect to collect, that is
Right.
correct.
So just simply out of respect for the audience, the members that gave comments today, just can you please review with us, have we actually reviewed the development fees each year? How are those assessed and discussed? Because I believe they are per what we've reported out to the public through our website and minutes and archives and committee meetings. So can you just quickly remind the public of when those development fees are reviewed each year annually per the JPA agreements?
With regard to the fees themselves, the board had adopted a resolution years back to automatically increase the amounts each year. However, we do analyze what we collect and the fees and make findings and present that each year in a board report that's along with our DIF audits. So we have our annual DIF audits, and then we also have the Mitigation Fee Act reporting requirements. There's a one-year requirement, and then every 5 years there's a different requirement. We follow that and report that to the board every year.
So there is an annual report to the board?
There is,
Correct. And I do appreciate on the website, it is easy to find that the development fees and the rates by zones that we do have. And Ms. Chair, I would say that in Anaheim, we're having a pretty intense discussion currently about fee structures in our city as they relate to the ability to promote the building of affordable housing generally, as well as attracting commercial development. So at this time, I would like to abstain on that component of the increasing the fees automatically of 2%. I'm not fully comfortable with that from the perspective of our city, since we're in the midst of a discussion of that. So I seek your direction on how I might move our city from supporting the increase of development fees this year for our city.
So I would rely upon counsel, Mr. Joseph.
The action before the board is not to approve the fees themselves, it is to approve the budget. So a vote to approve the budget would not be a vote to approve the setting of the fee levels. That action was taken, as Ms. Potter referenced, at a prior meeting to institute an annual increase in the fees. That's not being acted upon by the board at this time. That's not before the board.
However, by voting, we are affirming that we approve those fee increases. I mean, we could, I don't understand. We're approving a budget that includes a structured set of revenues, and so if we don't approve of where those revenues are coming from, how would we, I don't want to mess with the entire budget, I just want to make sure that our city's on record.
The action to set the level of the fees has already been taken, and there is no proposed action before the board to change that or to adopt that. That's already been adopted.
Correct. So if one of the member cities has reviewed and reflected on those fee increases, and we are in the midst of discussing those in our city, how might I then represent that in this budget?
Well, I would suggest that perhaps the forum to address that issue would be when the annual report is submitted to the board and the fees are considered, as Ms. Potter explained.
So if the will of the board was to go one direction with fees, despite perhaps what it may mean for a city, which is what I'm contemplating today in today's budget, how might I abstain from that component of the budget? Help me, help me.
Yeah.
Mr. Joseph,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, is it possible that the director may be allowed to vote one way or another based on the budget and footnote his concern with regards to
I was
fee
going to
structure?
suggest to state on the record that your vote is not to be taken as an approval of the fees themselves. I think that would be sufficient to preserve the record.
Does that satisfy you, Director?
You know, I think just to keep it clean, I'll just, and because this is on the record regardless, I'll just not support this budget at this time. And just to keep it as clean as possible, I think. But I want to make sure the board knows exactly why.
Thank you, Director.
I'm not supporting the budget.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Thank you, Martinez. I just read briefly, and I know it's my first day here, but I've been on this board before, and I just wanted to state a couple of things based on what we heard from the members of the public. and Mr. Moreno in regards to the development fees. Those development fees typically are based on that specific project. So say a city's not building any housing, and for the most part, most cities in Orange County are not building any housing, right? A couple of cities that are, and so that's where those development fees come into play. But more importantly, it's those folks that are going to move into that development that end up taking the hit, not the rest of the residents, right? Because it's for that specific project. And so that's when you're getting those fees from. And so if X developer, you know, is putting a development, you know, a great example in my city off of Red Hill and Dyer, certain amount of percent of those dollars are going to our city, then going to the toll roads. But it's based on that development. It is not spread across through the residents. And the other thing that I want to discuss, to just put on the record as well, is that the reality is that when we talk about roads, whether private or public, we invest billions of dollars, but when you look at the amount of money that's in a budget to actually maintain and the amount of money that we actually generate from a public road is zero. A private road, obviously, it's paying for itself. It has its debt service. It's paying tolls. And so I think this notion that we all who think that we're taxpayers, that we believe all our money is staying at the local level. The reality, that is far from the truth, especially those who are under Prop 13. We have to have an honest conversation, is that those who are under Prop 13 pay very little taxes back into our communities. And number two, it's those new homeowners that are pretty much subsidizing folks that are under Prop 13. So when we look at our property tax that is regional in context, the reality is that we are contributing a very small portion of revenue for our public roads, and here for our private roads, with new development it's coming in to making sure that we're able to facilitate other modes of mobility. So, you know, I think it's time that we get educated and we understand the fiscal functionality of how our money is being generated and where it's going. I get very frustrated because at the end of the day, we talk about, you know, we want all these roads, but again, it costs money. And so when I hear Mr. Nelson through the Orange County Transportation Authority indicating that, you know, over the course of 30 years, we spent over $14 billion. Well, what percent of those $14 billion through the Orange County Transportation Authority is being put to maintain the roads? So that's a question that I would ask. And so I want us to be very clear that as we move forward, that at the end of the day, this is an option, it's a choice. And if it were up to me and I were the queen, and definitely am not, I would be supporting vehicles miles traveled so that everybody is paying their fair share. Because right now, proportionality, not every city is equal, not every transportation authority is equal, or to the toll roads. And so I've educated myself over the 12 years that I've been in office, and I think it's time that we start having an honest conversation with our constituents and with the other elected bodies about how we generate revenue. In particular here, it's quite clear where we're receiving our revenue, and our debt service is literally from those folks that we need to pay this money back. And so again, you know, and I get very passionate on this issue because I'm a big nerd when it comes to revenue and taxation. But the reality is we are much different than the Orange County Transportation Authority. So I was kind of offended by Mr. Nelson, and I have a lot of respect for Mr. Nelson and the board of directors of the Orange County Transportation Authority. But at the end of the day, we need to realize apples are apples. It's not apples versus oranges. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Martinez.
May I make a comment?
I'm sorry?
May I make a comment?
Yes, Director Bartlett is first. I'll put you down.
Okay, so Director Martinez makes a really good point. When people talk about development impact fees are for building out infrastructure. It's not just roads, but it also goes to schools, water, sewer, all of that necessary infrastructure for development. You know, many years ago when I built in Capo Beach, you know, I paid, I think, a $35,000 school fee. But that was just part of the development because it has to pay for the infrastructure in the area. And so the public at large just needs to understand that the infrastructure has to be paid for somehow. So when you pull a permit to build a house or you have a new development, we have 14,000 homes that are being built out in Rancho Mission Viejo. Those fees go to pay for that necessary infrastructure within the development and around the area of benefit relating to roads, water, sewer, schools, et cetera. And people just need to keep that in mind. They're very necessary in order for the infrastructure to actually get built out. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director Moore.
With all due respect, first off, vehicle miles traveled, I do support that, but the toll roads do not use vehicle miles traveled. It's a toll. So that's a totally different area. And as far as Prop 13, I feel like I pray to God every day that we have Prop 13. Many of us wouldn't be able to afford our houses because the taxes have increased to such a level. So Prop 13 is Girl Scouts and apple pie and the flag. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other directors care to comment?
Just maybe a clarification for
Yes,
my own
sir.
education. I
Yes, sir.
appreciate Director Martinez reminding us that we always have to continue to educate ourselves, but it's also our responsibility to assure that our public conversations and as we go out to our constituents that we're educating them as well as learning from them. So I do appreciate the comments made tonight. This morning, my apologies, we tend to go late into the night. Council meeting, sometimes you get confused which meeting you're in. But I think on the development impact fees, I don't mean to suggest in any way that they're not important. They're absolutely essential, and that's why our city's having that debate. Is exactly where do our development impact fees, which ones are necessary and essential to our community. And it seems to me that as we impose development impact fees, this is where I'll seek maybe the question. That those projects that are impacted or that are within the zones of the TCA where we collect the development impact fee, are they also still required to purchase and pay for using of the roads? So in Rancho Mission Viejo, they're going to pay this development impact fee, right, the new residents. Are they also expected to also pay for the toll road when they use the road, or do they get a pass?
Of course, they pay for the toll.
So that to me is a double taxation, right? Is what we're doing here is we're saying you're going to be charged a development impact fee to help pay for the toll road, and you're also going to have to pay for the road when you use it. So again, I'm just going by the basic, it seems to me, common sense that if we're collecting an impact fee so that we could build private roads, are there, and maybe again the education piece, are there to the point, has OCTA invested enough in creating public roads in those spaces so that folks do really have a choice whether to pay for the toll road or to take a longer route to their destination?
So, Director Moreno, while I appreciate your concerns and your questions, your honest questions, I appreciate that. I think right now that conversation I would enjoin for when we have the annual impact fee report out for all of the directors to see and discuss, that would certainly be an appropriate time to have this discussion. So if you don't mind, okay, I'm sorry, Director Bartlett.
Thank you, Chair. So I think with regard to development impact fees, they pay for the infrastructure, the roads, water, sewer. But once the water lines are put in place and you're paying the development impact fees for the water lines for the development, for instance, like Rancho Mission Viejo, when you utilize the water, you get a water bill and sewer bill, et cetera. So it's to lay the groundwork for all of the infrastructure, but as you use the water and sewer, you'll get a bill for your corresponding level of service. With regard to the toll roads, it just gives options for usage. The beauty of it is we're not forcing anyone to pay to, well, they pay for the development impact fee, but we don't force anyone to drive the toll road. You have an option of utilizing the arterials, the freeway system, et cetera, and the option to utilize the toll road. But if you utilize the toll road, just like you would utilize water, sewer, et cetera, where you pay development impact fees, then you would pay to use. So that's the analogy with regard to development impact fees and kind of explaining paying for infrastructure, but then also paying for usage as well.
Thank you very much. Any other comments from any other directors? Did I get a second for San Joaquin Hills?
I think you did.
I think, Madam Clerk, did I get a second? We can't hear Director Heft. Thank you very much. So voting separately on the two budgets, all those on the San Joaquin Hills Board, please signify your approval by saying yay.
Yay.
Aye.
Yay.
See, you don't follow instructions. I had some ayes in there and some yays in there. and-
I followed up with yay, I hit both.
Okay, so I yay. All those opposed? Any abstentions?
One abstention.
One abstention. Thank you very much. And while we're on it, I will second Director Martinez' Queen bid to be discussed further. We now move to approval of the budget for Foothill Eastern. Do I have a motion?
Move.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion on Foothill Eastern? Director Ward?
San Clemente again this year is not going to be able to vote for the budget for Foothill Eastern. A lot of the capital improvement projects in here I could vote for, but because you don't split them out, I cannot support the entire budget. Specifically, the South County traffic relief effort, there are statements made in here that the purpose and need has changed from what it originally was when I was on the mobility working group 2 years ago. It says that we are going to improve regional mobility by reducing congestion on I-5 during peak commuting hours and weekends. Weekends were never discussed with the electeds in the mobility working group, and they're also not part of any valid study for transportation projects. And yet, this agency is asking us to vote to spend millions of dollars to study that and go into an EIR with that. The other one is provide additional north-south capacity in case of traffic accidents on the I-5. We're going to build a completely different road in case there's one accident on I-5. Also, it's being built in case of emergencies. So I think the 405, 605, let's just build an additional freeway in case there's any emergency that's the emergency system's never thought of, that we're going to build and spend billions of dollars to do that. That's in the purpose and need that we're asking to vote on to go forward. So we're going to object to that and think that's ridiculous to go into an EIR and spend money on that. It says that we're going to address existing and future deficiencies in north-south regional mobility in South Orange County, and yet this agency keeps only talking about the growth in North County, but talking about doing something in South County. The lack of redundant north-south capacity increases congestion during traffic incidents on I-5. Any incident on any freeway is going to congest traffic. This is for studies of doing design work, support the outreach, engineering, and environmental planning for Foothill Eastern to try to come up with an alignment. San Clemente doesn't believe that this agency has a viable alignment, and that's why this agency has now started studying managed lanes and looking to the I-5 corridor to try to take over something on that, and that's not in our purview. It's not in our JPA agreement that that's what we do. We are supposed to build 2 transportation corridors and go out of business. That's what we told the public we were doing. That's how we got an agreement to charge development fees that are very important to people when they pay $5,000, which, by the way, is projected to be $20 million from our cities this year and was last year $20 million. That raises all the cost of housing in each one of our cities, and yet we're just spending it on studies, and we've done that for the last 20 years, trying to put in an extension in South County that has just never been able to do. We are doing redundant projects that belong to OCTA and Caltrans, and they're asking us to study it. I heard that a project study report was sent to Caltrans. It did not come to this board. We have not seen it to see what they're saying this project's supposed to be and what the cost might be, and even what the traffic relief might be. It didn't come to us. So at the end of this meeting, I will be asking for that to come to us. I understand it's preliminary, but the board, where's the board involved in this? All we're being told, they come every now and then and say, we're going to now study managed lanes, and we all kind of go, okay. And then they go away and spend a lot of money doing that. It's also costing the board a lot of money in litigation costs, certainly from the city of San Clemente, that are unnecessary. But if the agency, if the staff keeps going forward and studying these things and the board doesn't take any action to correct it, those legal fees are going to continue, and they're just so unnecessary. If there are projects that we can't do, we shouldn't be studying them. So I'm sorry again, I've voted for the budget for this board in years past, but I believe in the last two have not been able to because of the actions and segmenting of projects, trying to get something in South County. So again, this year, I will be doing that, and I'm really sorry to do it, but it has to be done. And I just believe this board is delegating their authority to staff, and it's very sad because when I go to other boards and I'm in my city, I don't see that. So
Thank you.
I would ask for people to show that they do not have support by voting no on the budget.
Thank you, Director Ward. Any other comments? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second, so I now ask for approval of number 12, the Foothill Eastern Transportation Corridor Annual 2019 Budget. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed?
Nay.
Thank you very much.
Thank
And
you.
abstentions will be noted. Please let the clerk know of your abstentions. We move now to item number 13, by the way, 12 passed. Item number 13, which is the meeting schedule through August of 2019.
So moved.
We haven't even seen it.
So moved, Martinez?
We haven't even seen it. We're not going to have any meetings. So, no, teasing.
I'll move for San Joaquin.
We have motions on both. Do I have a
Second
second?
for San Joaquin.
I have seconds from everybody. So any conversations?
Aye.
Director Ward, did you have a comment?
No, I seconded the motion for San Joaquin.
Okay, the clerk needs to know who seconds. I don't
think she can see
record.
anything with the flag.
It was
Very hard.
seconded by Director Ward.
So one thing I would always note to everybody here, Ms. Ochoa sees everything. She is all-seeing and all-knowing. All those in favor of agenda item number 13 signify by saying aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. Seeing none. We move to number 14, which regards to joint toll road marketing services. Lisa, you're up. Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you, directors. This item before you is Amendment 2 to contract K001076 for marketing services with DB&M Media. This item was presented to the Joint Communications and Marketing Committee on April 23rd and approved unanimously for the board's consideration today. TCA outsources marketing, creative, and media buying services as an extension of staff. Staff conducted a competitive procurement in 2016 for marketing services, and the procurement resulted in the board's awarding a 3-year contract with 2 one-year extension options to DB&M Media. FY19 represents the 3rd year of the contract. The scope of work for these services includes research, strategic planning and insights on TCA's business, consumer and the media landscaping research. Creative and design services in traditional, digital, and mobile mediums, advertising production to develop and produce the ads, planning, purchasing, and optimizing of the media buys, and account management and general administration support. Marketing and paid advertising are integral components to the toll road's communication, awareness, and education efforts to build ridership and revenue on the network. The general marketing goals remain consistent over the 3 years, and the programs are designed to educate drivers on the benefits of the toll roads. They build value in having an account and stimulate the daily decision to drive the toll roads, resulting in increased transactions, revenue, and account growth. With more than 48 million visitors coming to Orange County annually, the marketing efforts also help to inform visitors that there are toll roads in Orange County and educates them on how to using the pay online toll option on the website. With the 6C sticker tag launch planned in mid-2019 An added project goal is to support the rollout by communicating the account updates and educate on the new sticker tag transponder form. The proposed FY19 total budget is $1.7 million. $1.4 million would be allocated for general marketing to include paid media, production, agency retainer, and media commissions. To support the 6C sticker tag launch, we allocated $300,000 as a project line item for the production of new 6C educational videos. On the creative front, the Enjoy the Drive theme will be carried through next year with strong imagery of the roads and experiential ads using the 360-degree virtual tour and time-lapse videos that allow drivers to experience what it feels like to drive on the toll roads. We'll continue to air the Sci Alert and Commute TV spots. They haven't been overplayed, they're still relevant today, and will save us on some production dollars. We've added new lifestyle imagery to feature the roads, but also to show where the roads can take you, as you can see on that bus side. The strategic plan will be to stay the course on our 3-year plan, with the majority of the budget going to paid media. The proposed media budget is $1.06 million. The multimedia mix will be targeted to commuters in Orange, LA, and Riverside counties and will reach the on-the-go drivers who may be stuck in traffic. SoCal is the second most expensive media market in the nation, behind New York City, so we need to find ways to stretch our dollars and reach consumers through an efficient media mix. Today, consumers spend more time on digital than any other medium. And for the first time ever, digital advertising as a whole surpassed TV in 2017. So the plan includes a strong digital presence on Facebook and Google, the top 2 digital properties with more than 200 million unique monthly visitors each. Media usage also varies by demographics. For those aged 55 plus, more hours are spent each day on live TV, so we still have a share of our budget dedicated to network and TV cable. Network and cable also allow us to reach a broader audience, and we can buy content-specific placements such as traffic and weather. But cord cutting is real, with the majority of millennials and Gen Xers spending more time on digital, so we are looking to allocate some of our video dollars into buys on YouTube, Hulu, and Sling. We know SoCal is ranked as one of the longest average commute times at more than 53 minutes, so having on-the-go media options is important to serve ads in real time. Radio, traffic sponsorships, and outdoor transit, including bus sides, backs, and shelters, are efficient and a good reminder when commuters are stuck in traffic. To support the 6C initiative, the requested budget includes production of up to 6 customer educational videos, such as how to install a sticker tag, should I purchase a switchable transponder. These videos will be posted on our website, on our YouTube channel, social media channels, and included in all of our customer communication links. These are some of the KPIs used to measure all of our marketing programs. We continually monitor results and adjust the buys as needed to optimize. And so with that, staff is recommending the approval of Amendment 2 to the contract K001076 with DB&M Media in the amount of $850,000 for marketing services through June 30th, 2019 for each of the agencies. With that, I'm open for questions.
Thank you. Director Moore?
I have a question, and that is, you did respond as to how you were measuring, but when you're spending money, usually you want to know what additional benefit you got from the money. And I guess I didn't quite see that. I get the point of it, because obviously you have to put your new information in front of the public. Could you help with that? Thank you.
Sure. Can I ask you to clarify, do you mean in terms of the benefits to the toll roads? Or?
No, not to the toll road, but the benefit of the additional income, because the point of this is to get people to use the toll road so you have income. Okay, I guess what I'm not really clear on is how you're measuring. It's a lot of money. How are you measuring the additional benefit you're getting in the money that you're receiving? Is that clear?
I think so, and if I'm not answering your question correctly, then please tell me. So we have numerous ways to measure, and many of the types of ads that we run are educational and branding. Right. And so, for example, things like radio and TV, they're hard to measure because you could see the ad today and then sign up or drive next week. Mm-hmm. So we look at it as an overall, measurement if our revenue and transactions are going up. However, there are a number of, especially with the digital world, there are ways that we can track all of our data, and there was some information in the staff report related to, who's viewing the ads, the number of click-throughs and things like that. So digital is really one of the best ways so that we can actually see how people are performing and going to our website. In general, this has been lifelong issue with the advertising. You know, when you have branding messages, you know, what is the overall impact? And you can kind of translate that into increased revenue and transactions and overall, you know, just general reminder and education.
I guess what I'm saying too, and I appreciate what your response, if you spend $1, do you get 50 cents benefit, or you get 10 cents, or do we have, I guess that's, I know, that's what I'm trying, just by the additional revenue? Pardon? Yeah, I was trying to quantify.
There's not really a rule of thumb with that. You know, it's very hard to measure that you spend $1 and you're going to get $1 back, you know, kind of thing. You know, and it's hard to pinpoint exactly what's attributed to the actual sign up or, you know, somebody riding on the road.
Mr. Chair, if I could add to that.
Good.
Sorry. A couple of things. One, the educational aspects of this do have an ability to reduce our customer service costs, the number of calls we get and those type of things, so that's a way. And then typically.
Have you measured that, or do you have some, I'm not trying to put you on the spot. It's
Not,
just-
not tying it directly to that, but, and then on our, some of those that are created, they'll be on our website so people can look at a how-to video versus calling up and asking how-to, those type of things. So there's where we get some of the benefit of the cost. The other is primarily as we get new account signups, we do track data about usage related to an account, be it the type of the account and location. So from that, as the number of accounts, we do have, you know, sort of ballpark numbers, if you will, of what that means in terms of increased revenue.
Thank you, Director. Director Murphy, followed by Director Bartlett.
Oh, thank you. Director Moore, I think you must have been vicariously in the marketing meetings, because this topic gets discussed on a frequent basis, because there is that whole idea of the image side of things. What our marketing folks don't want to really tell you is that they're really good salespeople too, because you have to sell something that isn't easily measured.
Right.
And my comment above and beyond that is, I'm wondering if it isn't time to pivot a bit of the expenditure towards strictly the education side of things. I had said on other boards as well, but I didn't make the recordings today, that I don't think anybody really cares or really understands. I shouldn't say anybody, we all do, but the majority of folks that drive the roads couldn't tell you where the money was going to from the transponder when they drive between our roads and others, whether you talk about the 91 Expressway or the Golden Gate Bridge. And so I think everybody, given this point, really recognizes there are toll roads in the TCA. I don't think there's a need or importance to doing the image stuff and, oh, take a deep breath, you'll feel better when the time's shorter. I think the information side of it, especially if we learned any lessons at all from a standpoint of trying to go to electric tolling, was the information side of it was notoriously weak, which put impacts on our customer service people that were unfair and really drove a whole new thought process around customer service moving forward. And we've certainly pivoted that, but that was reaction instead of being proactive. And I would suggest, one, not to solve today, but I'd like to see back through committee or whatever appropriate, a real refocusing of those efforts. And two, quite candidly, I still have some qualms about the methodology to get to those consumers. I think certain parts of the tried and true stuff we should really go away from and see if there is any dip in things, as long as the economy stays. That's another way to test that theory that you talk about. So while I will be supportive today of the particular item in front of us, to be fair, I'm going to be looking for maybe a 15 or 20% streamlining over time, along with really a better or a better focus on where we're spending the dollars, the bang for the buck. To me, you will get the imagery if you start to use your transponder and you easily find a spot where you can recognize why you want either the 6C strip or you want the combo unit and how to install it. And if we really need to tell anybody how to install a sticker in their window, I'm a little concerned on the user group too. So I think to me that's a better way to spend these dollars, and I applaud the question because it is something that you struggle with every time you agree to one of these budgets.
Thank you, Director Murphy. Director Bartlett?
Yep. For the marketing ad hoc, I know this has been a struggle all along with regard to how do we determine what's working and what's not. And the board as a whole is always focused on metrics, and how do we figure out if we're getting our good value for the dollars that we're expending. And I know that you can gauge certain things like different campaigns and then see if transactions go up and revenue goes up. And I know that for the educational piece of it, it's really important, and you can gauge some of the success with some of the programs and marketing based on some of the programs, like getting people to utilize the mobile app, getting a campaign focused on that, and then seeing if the number of people who sign up for the mobile app, what the numbers are. So I just encourage anybody who's really interested in marketing, volunteer for the marketing ad hoc, because that's where a lot of the core work gets done to set these programs and metrics and work with our marketing professional team out there to figure out what programs we want to move forward for education, for to increase ridership, talk about all electronic tolling, get messaging out there. But it's a great opportunity to get involved from the board perspective and really give input into that process, because we always struggle a bit every year with regard to how do we determine what programs and things are working. And I think that's where board members can really give some valuable input. So I just want to throw that out there for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Bartlett. Any other comments?
Chairman Sachs?
Yes, Director Moreno?
This maybe relates to the other agenda items of other contracts regarding Hispanic outreach and media. And I'm curious if, when we pursue contracts with these firms, if perhaps one of the requirements might be that they actually have full capacity to serve the full diversity of the market, right? So that we don't have to then pursue other contracts with other agencies. So as I'm looking at network, cable TV ads, I think in the report we received for another contract is that they're able to reach Univision or Telemundo or these other Spanish ads, or cable or TV outlets, but we also have other languages and other nationalities or ethnic groups in South County and Central and North County. So I'm just curious, I'll support today's contract, but perhaps in the future we could maybe look at firms that actually have a full capacity to serve. So that way it's all in one space and we can figure out the messages are really clear and that there isn't this constant subcontracting out. So maybe you could provide some comments on that.
Before I turn it over to Lisa, I just wanted to let everybody know our media buy does include traffic sponsorships on Spanish language stations. So we are reaching the Spanish dominant consumers in Los Angeles and the Inland Empire.
Right, so maybe then the question is, to what extent is this contract inclusive of all of that? And does this firm have that capacity? And if that's true, then why do we have other contracts then to do other specific targeted outreach, which I support, but again, I'd rather just have one firm that actually has the full capacity to maybe incentivize firms to themselves diversify in their ability to reach the entire market.
And I think you're correct, is we did have, we've had in the past, and when we rolled out the all electronic tolling, we had a specific target, which was the Hispanic market specifically. And when we bid out the marketing services, it included Spanish language advertising, but not the outreach component. And so the additional contract that was on the consent calendar that was approved earlier is something we realized after we brought in the new contract that we had a piece missing that we wanted to fulfill, and also provide Spanish language translation for us that we did not have available for our public relations materials. So that kind of, you're right though, as we move forward and re-procure, we re-look at what are the needs of the communication efforts, and in some cases we have had it part of the contract, but there was a portion of it that is not included in the marketing contract that's before you right now.
So then let me ask the question in that regard then. In this current contract, and Spanish is one language, I mean, South County has a much more diverse set of languages, Asian languages in particular. And so I'm curious, in this contract, when they do a video, when they do these ads, so is it self-contained? They themselves will translate or do more culturally centered and targeted ads themselves, or are depending on these other contracts to do that?
Regarding educating, I think that is something, we know this is something we will be discussing in the marketing committee this year, of how to address this. And there were questions that came up through other committees about additional languages that we will be discussing in the marketing committee and how to handle that. Yes.
thank you. And just as a comment, Mr. Chairs, I do struggle with putting stickers on because you don't know if it's going to actually be counted or not. You don't want to be charged and then have to go through the whole process to get reimbursed. So even when I did my carpool stickers, I went online and I made sure that I have them exactly where the government says they're supposed to be, so that I don't get pulled over by CHP. So unfortunately, some of us are anxious about not getting pulled over or not being charged and have to go through a separate process. So I do find those helpful, the how-tos, although maybe they're not, we shouldn't spend so much time on them, but I do find them helpful when we have how-tos.
Yes.
And
Vice Chair
I just
Shea.
want to agree with you on that, because I know you think that perhaps people aren't quite smart enough if they don't know how to put on stickers, but I really am not good at putting stickers or figuring out my phone, so I fall in that category of people that need a little bit extra support. So I know that we need to help educate people. We've been through this before. It's important that we do, and so I do appreciate, I think, as the chair of the marketing committee, I do think this is important. It is hard to quantify benefit when you're putting money out, but if we just look at the increase of our ridership, I think that certainly is a good indication that we're at least moving in the right direction. So I look forward, and I thank our staff, you do a great job, that we would move this forward today. And with that, I'll make a motion to do so.
Second?
Very good. My only comment is that there's a cycle on education. When you're new and young, you need education. In the middle of the cycle, you know everything, and when you reach my age, you need reminding. That's why they still tell me how to put my seatbelt on in the airplane. Having a first and a second, a motion and a second on this item, any further discussion? Thank you very much. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions will be noted. Thank you very much. We move now to item number 15, Capital Improvement Plan. Ms. Sue.
Yeah, for both boards.
Yeah, I would think so. You have two.
So I made it for Foothill.
Okay, I'll move San Joaquin.
I'll second San Joaquin.
Okay,
All in
so
favor?
We don't have to if you don't want to, since
didn't-
Director Shea and Director Martinez sit on both agencies.
yeah,
Oh, so we're allowed to do that? Oh, that makes it simple.
That's why,
Oh, you sit on both.
that's why I make the motion, because I sit on both.
Oh, lucky you.
That's why I made it.
Lucky you.
and that's why many of us pay attention in the agenda meeting beforehand.
Are you talking to me,
I
Mr. Chair?
No, Madam Vice Chair, I am not talking directly to you. Ms. Sue, I apologize. Please proceed.
Good morning. I'm Juliet Sue, Corridor Manager, Engineering Design. And this item is a recommendation to adopt the fiscal year 19 capital improvement plan for the San Joaquin Hills and Foothill Eastern Transportation Corridors. The capital improvement plan identifies the major capital improvement projects being studied or implemented on the San Joaquin Hills and Foothill Eastern Transportation Corridors. It outlines the scope, cost, and schedule for each project, and it's updated annually with new projects, completed projects, and changes to projects' status, costs, and schedules. Consistent with other regional transportation programming efforts, projects are added to the agency's CIP based upon traffic demand. Projects are then evaluated through an initial study prior to implementation. Each year with the annual update to the CIP, we have the opportunity to update the list of projects being studied and implemented. To date, the projects shown here have been completed on the San Joaquin Hills Transportation Corridor. The projects include project number 1, which was the Glenwood Interchange, Phase 1, to add ramps to and from the north at Glenwood Pacific Park Drive. Project number 3 was the northbound roadway widening of the 73 to add a 4th lane to the northbound main line in 2 locations, from Aliso Viejo Parkway to Laguna Canyon Road, which was approximately 2.4 miles, from Catalina View Mainline Toll Plaza to the MacArthur Boulevard exit, which was approximately 3.3 miles. On the Foothill Eastern Transportation Corridors, the projects shown here have been completed and include projects such as project number 2, which was the Santa Margarita Parkway on-ramp widening to add a 2nd lane to the Santa Margarita Parkway northbound on-ramp. Project number 4, which was the 241 northbound widening to add one mixed flow lane in the median of the northbound 241 from Arroyo Tribuco Creek to Bake Parkway, and widening of 5 northbound and southbound bridges to their ultimate condition. Project number 8, which was the 133 widening to add one mixed flow lane in each direction from I-5 to 241, a distance of approximately 2.5 miles. And project number 9, Windy Ridge Fast Track Lane widening, which added a third general purpose lane in each direction through the Windy Ridge Mainline Toll Plaza, which was approximately 3 miles. Each year, the annual update to the CIP is prepared and taken through the Joint Capital Programs and Projects Committee for their input. The fiscal year 19 CIP was presented at the committee at the March 22nd meeting, and the committee recommended that this item be brought to the full boards. For the fiscal year 19, the CIP was updated to focus on projects currently being studied or implemented. The fiscal year 19 CIP includes 2 projects on San Joaquin Hills and 6 projects on the Foothill Eastern Corridor. The San Joaquin Hills projects are highlighted in blue. They include the Signage Enhancements Project to update signage throughout the toll road system and along the approaches to the system to conform to the current California standards. Project number 2 is the 73 improvements from Bison to Bear to a study to evaluate options for managed lanes on the 73 between Bison Avenue and Bear Street to provide toll lane continuity between the toll roads and the 405 express lanes. The Foothill Eastern projects are highlighted in yellow, and the South County Traffic Relief effort to identify options that improve regional mobility by providing additional north-south capacity to relieve congestion on the I-5 in South Orange County. Also includes the Oso Parkway Bridge Project to construct an overcrossing bridge on Oso Parkway to allow for the connection of Los Patrones Parkway to the 241. The 241-91 Express Connector to propose a tolled connector between the median of the 241 and the 91 Express lanes. The Jeffrey Road Interchange Study to evaluate concepts for a new interchange on 241 at Jeffrey Road in the city of Irvine. The 133 Great Park Interchange, which is to analyze the potential impacts to traffic and revenue on our system with the addition of that proposed interchange. And similar to San Joaquin Hills, we're doing the Signage Enhancements Project to update signage throughout the toll road system and along the approaches. So future projects on the system that are not listed in the fiscal year 19 CIP annual update, but are identified in concept are shown here in this table. And TCA is currently in the process of developing a system-wide capacity optimization analysis to project when traffic demand will necessitate these future widenings and interchanges on the system. TCA will continue to coordinate with SCAG and OCTA as well as other regional partners on these future projects. So at this time, staff is recommending to the boards to adopt the fiscal year 2019 capital improvement plan for the San Joaquin Hills Transportation Corridor and for the Foothill Eastern Transportation Corridors. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
I have one question for you. Would you please go back to the previous slide? Which of these projects have you shown and which of them happen to be on any other official maps, i.e. SCAG's 2040 RTP or OCTA's Long Range Transportation Plan or CTC/Caltrans Plan and Programming documents?
So 1, 2, and 3 are all listed in the long-range transportation plan. And items 4, 5, and 6 have previously been in our CIP annual updates, but we're currently analyzing them through our optimization project.
Okay, so for the last 3 that you mentioned, the CIP programs have been ratified by TCA board, I mean the committee on the CIP programs?
previously they've been included in our CIPs.
As a matter of public record, I would appreciate it next time when you make a presentation like this, specifically and explicitly, when you talk about future projects, you have a column that you would indicate the status of those on other plans and programs, because agencies like Federal Highway Administration, I'd like to know which ones are the ones that would be ultimately tied into other systems that, we're getting funding from the U.S. government.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Director Murphy?
Thank you. Can we go to a personal favorite project, the 24191 Express Connector? I'd like to focus on the other big traffic jam of our system for a couple of minutes, and I see at least a couple people in the audience that I know live that on a regular basis. I'm a little concerned, given the changes that have happened over the last 6 months, to make sure that we're accurately reflecting what we think can happen. And I'll look through the chair to either the CEO or whomever wants to address it, but we're still showing that anticipated completion in 2023, and I would welcome the idea as to how we think that's going to happen, given some of the changes of events with some of the coordinating agencies and responsible agencies involved.
So where we currently are in that project is we are doing a study of the post RCTC project opening. So we've collected all of that data. That analysis is underway and should be completed sometime this summer, at which time we'll work with OCTA, RCTC, and Caltrans in terms of what is the behavior that work shows results in the corridors. And at that point in time, we will basically see where the project falls in terms of the sequencing of projects in the 91 corridor. There's also ongoing the 91 connectors to and from the north at I-15, which is moving forward. The 91-71 interchange at this point in time is unfunded and therefore not. So we're going to look at all of that, and all of that is being analyzed, the with and withouts, in the study that we're doing. The way it's shown in the CIP right now is it's tentative. It's shown and it's noted as tentative, that project delivery date.
Okay, well, I'm an optimistic guy, but I would call that a most optimistic forecast given what I see and hear and other hats that I wear. And don't get me wrong, I'm hopeful it's right, because quite candidly, Orange, Anaheim, Yorba Linda, Tustin, and more live that challenge every day. In fact, Lucille Crean's going to live it right now, because she's going to drive down that way and try and get home before it starts to back up. But you're welcome. But all joking aside, I mean, the cut-through traffic, and I can speak most closely about my particular area of responsibility in Orange, continues to increase over time, and it needs to be done. However, we have a confluence with the newness of the 91 Expressway and the new traffic patterns there. We have as well the issues related to the additional widenings. They have accelerated the 91 to the 15 out with the in Riverside, the north flyover. So that's a major project, along with what to do with the 71 and recorrecting those points. And all of that sort of plays into how do we solve the problem for mobility rather than just move it into another jurisdiction, so to speak, which I think created a lot of the challenges up front. So I just wanted to highlight it, and as well continue to encourage close coordination so there are no surprises or concerns that haven't at least been discussed related to the sister agencies that are involved and have some of the ultimate responsibilities around the roads that we're trying to interconnect to.
Thank you, Director Bartlett.
Okay, I agree wholeheartedly with Director Murphy's comments. We need to stay closely engaged with all of the other stakeholders, with Caltrans, with OCTA, with RCTC, because now that 18 miles is fully operational and they're making some changes on interchanges for improvements, et cetera, we need to figure out where our 24191 connector project fits into all of that with regard to the timing of things. And then also with regard to the general purpose lane on the 91 freeway, pursuant to the financing agreements that RCTC has, the additional general purpose lane, the free lane that was going to be constructed was pursuant to the finance agreements estimated about the year 2030. And now they're thinking, because of everything going on in the entire region with regard to mobility, they might move up that project and do that one sooner. That impacts our project for the 24191 connector. So we just need to stay engaged with all of the individuals and entities that are out there, because priorities are getting changed all the time, and we want to make sure we know where our project fits in, so that at the appropriate time, we're there working with all the stakeholders to move forth what we need to for improving mobility on the 241.
Thank you very much. Vice Chair Shea.
Yes, thank you. Just a quick follow-up to our CEO. I would suggest we do have our subcommittee for RCTC. Could we schedule maybe an hour meeting to give updates in regard to this in the next couple weeks?
For our 24191 ad hoc? Is
Well,
that-
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we could schedule that to do that. The next scheduled for that committee, I was anticipating was August, when we would have the results of the analysis, so that might be more appropriate.
Is that what you would suggest? That's better? I just got the sense that maybe it's a value for us to meet, and if we need to get any strategies moving, or?
Until we have the results of the analysis,
Okay.
it would be hard for me to recommend a strategy.
Okay, sounds good, thanks.
Any other comments? Yes, Director Ward.
Are you asking for comments on the capital improvement project?
That's
Okay,
the
the
agenda
programs?
item.
Okay, we wanted to clarify, because it went on so long, we weren't sure what part we were still in. I'm going to make a comment. I'd like it on the record, please, to be reflected, including my comments that I've made prior, that I will not be voting for the CIP projects for the Foothill Eastern because of the South County Traffic Relief Project and the fact that it studies solutions and ideas that are not in our purview.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve both joint San Joaquin and Foothill. Our items are brought together, so it'd be a joint confirmation. I'll make that motion.
Second, Martinez.
Do I have a second? And that's for both boards.
Yes.
Any further comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
It's a combination, yeah.
Thank you.
And one abstention.
I'm sorry?
And an abstention.
Abstention,
2 abstentions.
Director Moore. Abstention for Director Moreno. All noted. Thank you very much. We move now to, where do we move now to?
16.
I need to recuse.
We move now to agenda, I'm sorry?
Yes, Chair, on item 16, I'll need to recuse pursuant to the Levine Act, so I'll be leaving the room. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Item number 16 is the authorization for design program and specialty consulting services. Ms. Sue, please.
Thank you. This item is a request for fiscal year 19 authorization for our design and program management consulting services contract with the Corridor Management Group, also referred to as CMG. So the Design and Program Management Consulting Services contract provides staff augmentation for management and technical tasks, as well as administrative assistance in support of the capital improvement plan projects, assistance in tolling systems, operations, data management, and other specialty consulting services. The contract was awarded to CMG in January of 2016 through a competitive procurement. The upcoming fiscal year 19 will be the third year of a 5-year contract. The CMG team is a joint venture of WSP and HNTB with supporting subconsultants. They provide staff augmentation for program and project managers, providing oversight of projects in development and construction. Civil, structural, drainage, and traffic engineers performing designs and reviews, and specialists in tolling systems, operations, and data management supporting various initiatives. These services are needed as an extension of TCA staff and used on an as-needed basis. For fiscal year 19, the CMG staff augmentation includes approximately 55 positions and 63,000 staff hours, through which they will perform project management oversight, technical reviews, and technical services. For San Joaquin Hills, the estimated expenditures to provide the identified level of support for fiscal year 19 is $1,370,554. The existing contract with CMG for these services has current remaining board authorization of $860,917. Staff is therefore requesting authorization for the balance between the fiscal year 19 estimated expenditures and the remaining authorization, which amounts to $509,637. For Foothill Eastern, the estimated expenditures for fiscal year 19 is $12,434,398. The existing contract with CMG for these services has current remaining board authorization of $7,242,638. Staff is therefore requesting authorization for the balance between the fiscal year 19 estimated expenditures and the remaining authorization, which amounts to $5,191,760. So at this time, staff is recommending authorization to execute task orders to contract number K001065 with CMG in the amount of $509,637 for San Joaquin Hills and $5,191,760 for the Foothill Eastern. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, directors. Do we have any questions? Director Moore?
This is a question that comes up to me rather frequently, and that has to do with how we research and look at more modern ways of addressing traffic problems. And I notice, in my mind, I don't feel we use enough science. There's a great deal of science on how material flows, whether it's grains of sand or whatever. And the flow of those materials is very similar to the way that cars flow on a freeway or on a road. I feel like we don't use enough science to measure and to improve traffic. Instead, we consider building more lanes when I feel like there are other ways of looking at traffic. And I think I'm also going to throw out using game theory as one of those avenues, and maybe you could respond to that. I was reading a physics article recently. In fact, there were two recently. One of them had to do with grains of sand, and it said when solids behave like liquids, and it was showing that when a grain of sand is a solid, but a bunch of sand it flows like a liquid. And it was commenting that when you put a barrier, this is counterintuitive, that it actually improves the flow. And could you respond to that?
I would say that in terms of the improving technology and advancing the science that's used, we work in partnership with SCAG, Caltrans, OCTDA, and we're all working together to do that. One of the things in what we do here at this agency that I think is a little bit cutting edge for that is really what we've done in terms of our streetlight data and the use of data to analyze patterns, behaviors, origin, destinations. So we work with all of our colleague agencies in terms of staying on the edge of that and applying the best science all the time, and that's something that we cooperate and work with them on.
Could I comment? I really appreciate that you're using that. What I guess I'm thinking is, I feel like there's science in other areas. Maybe we should be trying to work with physicists and other, instead of staying with the same group of people, I'm wondering if we shouldn't be employing some of those behaviors in science that we're not using. That's my interest.
I would look at our partnership with SCAG as being probably the best partnership for that. In terms of our responsibility as this agency, we have a responsibility to look at a range of future outcomes, but we can't settle on any specific one. And we certainly would do sensitivity to those as those technologies emerge, but we would follow their guidance in terms of when we come to a capital improvement program, and this, which is even a further step down the food chain, if you will, the actual implementation and construction of projects. So there's the future stuff, which we work very closely with our partners in terms of that long-range planning, and this is more of a boots on the ground, delivering the projects that are already in the pipeline. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Moore. Director Miniger.
Yes, Director Moore, your points are well taken. When I sit on SCAG's committees, i.e. Transportation or RC, and then I sit down with SCAG staff and I go over the whole process, trip generation, trip distribution, modal split, and trip assignment. And in reference to the computer demand forecasting, we are very lucky, very fortunate that Southern California Association of Governments and any of their consultants do use the latest state-of-the-art, state-of-the-practice, and state-of-the-technology. And as a practitioner myself, I've been very pleased with that. The same goes with OCTA, and the same goes with TCA, this organization. So the issue for us, again, your points are very well taken, but we are not lacking or missing any kind of new technology that someone in New York or in Florida happen to be using, and any of these public agencies are not using. So I can attest to the accuracy and, I guess, completeness of the process. But the only pending issue is always, to me, as one, happen to be that I want to make sure that they are not missing any TAZs, that I call it traffic analysis zones. That's the only item that, as a practitioner, I really care, like being an IRS agent, that you want to make sure that the taxpayer is truly paying, the tax that he or she happen to be responsible for. So when it comes down to SCAG model or ITEM model City of Irvine or ITEM model City for OCTA, I want to make sure that everything is there. Once that is there, then as you know, in computer programming, whatever you input, you're going to get the same output. So if you have missing information, then the outcome's going to have missing results. So by having said that, my concerns are not that we are on the top of everything from a technology perspective. It's just that kind of QA, QC to make sure that, for example, for the city of San Clemente, we don't have to go through those, if you will, confirmation that yes, everything was included in the computer model, therefore this development is there or is not there. So once we and maybe TCA staff and their consultants are cognizant to that missing link, then I have no problem with the process. And I do concur with the whole thing.
Thank you. Any other comments? I appreciate Chair Miniger bringing up the IRS and Chair Moore bringing up sand, because once I get done with the IRS, all I have left in my wallet is sand. So I will now ask for separate motions since we're dealing with divergent amounts. Can I have a motion and second on San Joaquin Hills for agenda item number 16?
I'll move San Joaquin.
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor of San Joaquin, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Thank you. Can we move now to Foothill Eastern? Can I have a motion? Can I have a second?
Second. Or, that's,
Don't fight.
no, I'll defer to.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition?
San Clemente opposes because of the inclusion of the money spent for South County traffic relief effort that we believe is flawed process. And I would like that comment on the record.
Thank you very much. We now move to, both items passed, we now move to agenda item number 17, state and federal legislative advocacy services.
Okay, get this straight.
Good morning, Chairman Sachs and Minigar and board members. I'm Barbie Daly, Director of Government Affairs for the agency. The item before you today is an amendment to 2 contracts for state and federal legislative advocacy services. Robert W. Naylor Advocacy in Sacramento and Aiken Gump Strauss Hauer-Feld in Washington, D.C. Both consultants provided updates to the Joint Strategic Planning Ad Hoc Committee in April to highlight their accomplishments this past year and discuss their goals for the upcoming fiscal year. In fiscal year 19, Mr. Naylor will continue his legislative and strategic planning role, serving as the agency's chief strategy advisor in Sacramento, focused on maintaining and growing our regional partnerships, educating key legislators, and advocating for the implementation of TCA's capital projects, as well as engaging the state resource agencies and governor's office as needed. In fiscal year 19, Susan Lent, who leads the Aiken Gump team, will continue to serve as TCA's advocate in Washington, D.C., and along with her colleagues Dario Fromer and Ian Shavitz, will continue to provide legal consulting as the agencies move forward in the environmental review process for the South County traffic relief efforts. Staff recommends that the boards authorize an amendment to contract with Robert W. Naylor Advocacy for an amount not to exceed $31,600 for the San Joaquin Hills Transportation Agency and $53,250 for the Foothill Eastern Transportation Corridor Agency for state legislative advocacy and strategic consulting services beginning July 1, 2018 through June 30th, 2019. Staff also recommends the board authorize an amendment to the contract with Aiken Gump, Strauss, Hauer-Feld in an amount not to exceed $30,000 for services for the San Joaquin Hills Agency and $390,000 for services and $25,000 for expenses for the Foothill Eastern Transportation Corridor Agency for federal advocacy and legal services beginning July 1, 2018 through June 30th, 2019. Total budget amendments for both contracts for the San Joaquin Hills Agency is $61,600 and the Foothill Agency is $468,250. Both of these amendments are included in the fiscal year 19 budget that was approved by the boards earlier today. That concludes my report, and I am happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Director Bartlett?
Okay, thank you. So Barbie, I appreciate the great work that our consultants and lobbyists do. And addressing not so much at the federal level because we've got Aiken Gump and then things fall under their umbrella. But at the state level, we have a plethora of people that we work with that have we have a multitude of contracts. I think what I'd like to see is to be able to direct staff from the board level to create a work plan with a matrix for this coming year so we know scope of work, we know deliverables, because I think what's happening is every time we need a scope of work, we get a new contract. And perhaps the scope of work should be more on call, and that you'll know that by putting together a definitive work plan.
Sure.
Because sometimes the scope of work, like an AB 382 item, might be very targeted for a couple of months, and we definitely need that. But we don't need a 12-year or a 12-month contract. We need a 3-month contract for somebody to focus on that. So if my colleagues would agree, I think we need or would request staff to come back with a definitive work plan, scope of work, deliverables, and then figure out what we need at the state level rather than have 8 or 9 different contracts. Define in the work plan who is the lead, it might be Naylor, and then who falls under that, and what we need on a consistent basis versus something like an on-call that makes more sense when we have targeted, focused work that needs to be done.
Okay, may I address that real quick? At the state level, we do have Bob Naylor, whose contract is $84,850. And at the, and we also have Nossaman, who is part of their overall contract on an hourly basis. And I just want to mention too that currently the climate at the legislative and local political attacks that we've been experiencing, I'd have to say staff is outnumbered on this issue, but I do think we've also been outperforming as we've been dealing with the various issues that have come before us. And as you know, TCA's objective has always been to contract out, have minimal staff, and I believe that's been
very effective in terms of keeping overhead down. And the contracts before you today are critical to support TCA's efforts, but I would agree we can certainly come back and are happy to come back with a work plan that addresses each of the specific issues and times when we do need to beef up man support in Sacramento.
I would highly recommend that, because a lot of times when we get these contracts, we don't always know what some of these people are doing. And I know a number of years ago, and I won't mention the consultant or lobbyist that we were using, but this person was getting paid on a monthly basis and in preparation if we needed to have a letter writing campaign. And I said, and the letter writing campaign was never needed. So those kinds of things would be determined in the work plan, and then we can put them on an on-call and not have to pay necessarily a monthly retainer for work that may never be performed. So we want to utilize our dollars to the best of our ability here and consolidate and do things that make sense for the agency and certainly for the consultants. So we're not having redundancy and we're not having people sitting around not doing substantive work that really needs to get accomplished.
Yes, absolutely.
Director Ward, did you want to comment?
I had almost the same comment that Director Bartlett had. This is a big jump for Aiken Gump. If they're doing legal consulting for environmental review process, we're not in that yet, an EIR for Foothill Eastern. So I question why this amount of money is being budgeted right now. And it would be better to actually have some type of a scope of work and know what it's going for.
The current budget for Aiken Gump has not changed from last year. In terms of legal services and consulting, as we do move into a formal environmental process, Ian Shavitz, who was instrumental in the environmental settlement agreement as part of the team, will be working in that area as he's an expert in environmental and NEPA legal issues. So we are staffing and prepared for that as we move forward. And again, this is not a change from last year's budget.
Okay, it seemed like a big jump. I would ask that when Aiken Gump actually does do legal services, that we are charged for those, because I remember the comment that they were instrumental in that settlement and that they did not charge us for a lot of that. And that was interesting to the city of San Clemente when we found out about that settlement at the last minute. So if these people are doing certain services, it needs to be stated what they are so that all of our cities know what's being done for us in Sacramento.
They actually absorbed those costs in their current retainer for the settlement agreement.
Right. I thought that was interesting. So, okay. So I guess better information and reporting on what the consultants are doing.
Thank you, Director Ward. Vice Chair Shea?
Yes, thank you. Again, I'm not in opposition to a work plan. I think it makes a lot of sense. I've heard many, going through different budget processes, that the board members do get a little confused about consultants and what they're doing and any overlap. But I would say that my concern would be is that if we have consultants on call and we have legislation that moves very quickly, it comes through committee sometimes very quickly, and you go to call a really good consultant, they're busy, they've got something else, they've got another direction, they're not going to be available. So I think we have to look at both the benefit of an on-call plan. I'm not in opposition to it, but I think I would like to take it through committee and understand the upside and downside of that. But again, I'm not in opposition to the suggestion. I just think that many good consultants, they'll just be doing work other places, and when we need them, like on a short-term, quick response, we may not be able to, well, I don't need you to answer it. I'm just sharing my thoughts, that's all. So, but I would like it to go through committee and to have that discussion. So I'm fine supporting the recommended contracts today, but with the understanding we would take this through committee and understand and get into more detail about some work plan or however that might unfold with our CEO's direction and support. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair Miniger?
I do concur with your recommendations, but I have a lot of issues with this, and it's all related to the mechanical aspect of it. If it's going to be on on-call or as a retainer basis, is it going to be not to exceed time and material, lump sum? Because I do agree with my colleagues' comments that I see a lot of vagueness here. We do need their services. I don't underestimate what they have done for us and what they're going to be doing, but just the mechanical aspect of it, I think it's vague. So I cannot support this at this juncture in this fashion.
Thank you. Director Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I also do want to echo Director Bartlett's suggestions. I think those are very helpful to understanding specifically what are we getting in return, and we can then assess that they're not venturing into other areas that maybe have not been reviewed by the board, or at least not updated. Just a couple of questions on this and the ensuing contracts that we're looking at. As the board might recall, this is something I've raised a concern for us from the city of Anaheim. We have been immersed and enmeshed in trying to figure out how do we disentangle the lobbyists and the consultants, and how that often begins to play in the politics of our city, formally in electoral politics, and how that then creates often a very non-productive environment for our residents, let alone the council itself. And as I've said on the TCA for the last year, I think we've received some comments from the public about how some of our contracted agencies have maybe participated in that, and I appreciate that CEO has clarified that not to his knowledge nor by under any directive of the TCA. Nonetheless, I do get concerned that we don't have clear articulated policies that assure that disentanglement, and I did meet with the committee about this, and I believe we do have a tab on our homepage that says transparency to assure that that our lobbyists, that there is a conflict of interest policy that we do have on the TCA, so that things are on the up and up and transparent. I don't see that quite yet under our transparency, so I would like to ask our CEO to make sure that maybe we get to that, so that the public again is aware, so that when they may make some suggestions to the board and the other members of the public here, that they're assured that we do have these conflict of interest policies. That said, the other night one of our council members, Vanderbilt, made a comment to some members of our public who often will come and say that we are choosing or moving in a policy direction because of campaign donations to members of the council, which certainly folks have that First Amendment right to donate to campaigns, but it does begin to muddy the waters about those conflicts, be they even while it's legal to campaign and legal to accept monies from entities, it often makes it difficult to sustain trust when the public doesn't know, did they donate, did they not? So we've set those kind of processes in place for ourselves in Anaheim. As I look at the folks that we're looking to contract with, I'd like to be assured, or maybe you could help guide me on this, how do we, as local electeds from respective cities, member cities, how do we assure ourselves that lobbyists that are contracted by TCA are not then themselves lobbying within our member cities and engaging in political activities within our member cities that then creates a very difficult environment, I think, for us as an agency, and especially getting involved in local electoral politics. I would prefer to work with agencies that are doing the job they're tasked to do, they're reporting back on what they're tasked to do, and that they're not involved in the electoral politics of our member cities, let alone the TCA, because that does rub the wrong way in terms of the trust of the agency within our respective cities, which I believe we've been seeing in parts of this. So can you comment on that, of how are we assured that these agencies are not, and or should the board consider through the committee process how we might set up policies that assure that we don't contract with agencies, or that it's a requirement. If you contract with TCA, you cannot engage in electoral activities and or lobbying activities within member cities that might conflict with the mission of the TCA.
I'll defer that to Mike Cramen.
So we do have a clear conflict of interest policy, which is posted on our website for the public to see, and which each of you board members sign each year, review and sign each year, as does all of our staff. In terms of the other comment you made about in terms of contributions, we follow very closely the Levine Act. We do provide service, we do disclosures of all of our contracts to have that revealed to us, to assist each of you in your responsibilities under the Levine Act to ensure that you do not have a conflict of interest in any votes that you cast at this dais. And in terms of our scopes of work, in terms of those entities that we hire as to do lobbying activities on behalf of this board, those are clearly identified and have clear scopes of work. I would also remind everyone that each year we bring our legislative platforms to this board for their review and approval, and that's developed through the committee process each year, which helps us in this area greatly. In terms of firms that have other contracts that we have where a firm may be a communications consultant, but they may also have other aspects of their practice, which we do not use unless we're specifically contracted for that. Their contracts have a clear guidance in terms of which services we are procuring, and we go through a competitive selection process to review those firms and to select those firms. Thank you.
Thank you.
Director Moreno, can I just comment?
Excuse me.
Did that answer your
Excuse me.
question? Because
No.
I don't think it did.
No,
Were
no.
you talking about people that we contract with that may then?
Director Ward, you're out of order right now.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Director
Can I-
Bartlett?
Okay, so with,
So,
reg-
no, the question for me was not answered completely.
okay, so with regard to on-call contracts, you have during the year as an agency, or we have it at the county, scopes of work that may need to be covered. And you have a procurement, and you might have 5 firms that are on-call with a not-to-exceed dollar amount that you can call at any time. So that's why, I don't want to hold up the item today, but we need to get a handle on this. And so, I'm willing to make a motion that we approve the contracts today with the caveat that staff work through committee and then through the full board and bring a work plan to us, a detailed work plan within 30 days or for our next meeting.
Second.
Okay, well, and it has to have the scope of work clearly delineated in the work plan, deliverables. So who's doing what, whether it's the consulting, whether it's lobbying, whether it's communications. So everything is clearly laid out and we know what we're getting for all of the dollars that we're paying out. And then we can figure out collectively as a board, maybe fine-tuning some of the contracts, changing them from an annual 12-month contract to more of an on-call contract. But we don't know if we don't know specifically what they're doing. So I'm happy to make the motion to approve what we have today with the caveat, we've got to have that detailed work plan, work it through the committee level, and then bring it to the full board for discussion, and we can figure out what fine-tuning we need to do.
Okay.
Thank you
And on
very
behalf,
much.
on behalf of Foothill Eastern, I'd like to second that, because I think a scope of work, just for clarity, would help us all as board
August.
members.
Thank you
So,
very
I'll
much.
second that.
Director Moore, did you have a question?
Actually, I was asking if she were going to make that a motion.
Okay,
And
thank-
apparently that.
thank you
it
very
is a
much. We
motion.
have
And I
a
understand
motion.
our next meeting isn't until August, so then you would have 2 months.
Yes.
To get that figured out.
I would just ask that your statement was to work it through the committee process and then bring it to the board, so I would let the committee determine when it's ready to bring it to the board.
Okay, that, I think it would be, and the appropriate committee would be, is it strategic financial ad hoc?
Strategic planning ad hoc.
Planning ad hoc, okay. So bring it to the committee first, let it get vetted there, and then when, at the appropriate time, bring it up to the full board. But at least we're not holding up anything today, but we know that we have the ability to fine-tune things in the future.
Thank you. We have a motion and a long-distance second from down the end of the hall there from Director Reimer and Director Voigt. Do we have any other discussion?
I still
Director
have one
Ward.
question, and it's based on what Director Moreno said, I think he was trying to say. If we hire consultants here, we're not sure what they're doing. Are they prohibited by virtue of their contract here engaging in any political activities against any one of us in any political campaigns in our cities? Is there anything like that that has to do with the contract? I think that's what he was asking.
Well, I thank you for that. If I may, Mr. Chair, since it's related to
Sure.
the question I asked. It's actually a little bit more expansive, not simply on the directors themselves, just in the member cities, that they're not involved. That's the question. Thank you. Are any of our contracted consultants or agencies precluded in any way by policy or ethics of the TCA and the ethics statements we have from participating in the electoral politics of member cities? Or are they allowed to under our current policy apparatus?
I'm not an expert on that. I would be glad to have that discussed in committee with the assistance of our legal counsel.
Mr. Chair, if I could just,
Yes.
and just up that, number one, I think we're going a little bit offline because we're really looking to support just a contract, but the discussion's good. I think we could have more robust discussion at a different time. But I think to suggest that consultants that work for us would have to be precluded from working for all these cities on any other issue is probably unconstitutional. I don't know, I'm not a legal scholar, obviously, but I would assume we can't say to some of our consultants, okay, you can work for us, but you can't work for anybody else. I don't think we have a right to dictate that or do that. But I think it would be very important that we'd have a response back from our legal team to suggest if that's even constitutional. I don't think it is. It's worth a discussion, so thank you.
Well, it is a choice. It is a choice of the board. While I agree that maybe it's not directly related to this, it is for me important in my vote of determining these contracts. Is I would like to know is do these agencies participate in electoral politics, formal politics, in our member cities? That's important. In Anaheim, it's an especially critical conversation because it's about building the public's trust in our decisions, and that's what I've been hearing on this board as a new member regarding our South County transportation plan or traffic studies. So, and it's been very helpful to have those publicly affirmed or contradicted and identified by our CEO. So all I'm suggesting is, for me in Anaheim, it's really important for me that in approving contracts of the TCA with consultants, that they are not participating in the electoral politics of our city. That's important, and it is a choice by us. It's not a constitutional question. Is we decide who we contract with, and we could say if you participate in this, maybe that's part of, again, a policy question for a committee. But that's something that's on my mind. I wanted to bring up on this one because we have a couple of others coming in. If I may, Mr. Chair, there was something brought up about politics that I'd like to ask, which is you mentioned that we're under political attacks, and that's why this contract is particularly important today. Can you suggest or let us know what you meant by which political attacks from where that the agency is under?
Yes, AB 382 that was introduced by Assemblymember Rocky Chavez would be detrimental to the agency in that it would not allow us to continue additional bonding authority. It would take, which obviously would be very problematic for any of our capital improvement projects. So we see that as a very important piece of legislation that we are working very hard on right now.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments? Thank you. We have a motion which includes for staff direction and for staff to come back at a later date. We have seconds.
Aye.
Pardon me, wasn't her motion separate, so it's like an amendment? Did I misunderstand that?
No, it was included in the motion to approve what we have today with the caveat of the detailed work plan, work through the strategic financial, and then bring it to the board for further refinement.
But that's an amendment to the motion in a way, isn't it really? I mean, I don't have a problem, but it seems to me we would vote on your statement of what you wanted to do and then the main motion to include it. Am I incorrect? Perhaps I'm incorrect. Wouldn't you?
It seems in addition to the item.
You're amending what we're doing, so it seems to me that we would vote on her amendment and then we would vote on the main motion.
There's no amendment.
But there was no amendment, it was just one motion.
It's a motion.
But she's amending this.
That's just staff recommendation.
That was a staff recommendation.
Okay, so you made it then. Okay,
Correct.
Pardon me.
And it was seconded.
Okay.
And we need to vote and go because Director Martinez has to do something
Okay.
in her city. I'm sorry, didn't mean to leave that out there like that. So all those in favor?
Oh my God, aye.
Aye.
All those
Aye.
in opposition? Hearing none, thank you very much. We move on to item number 18. Director Martinez, safe travels. Mr. Chesney.
Thank you, Director Sachs, Chair Sachs, Chair Menegar. The item view is a joint San Joaquin Hills and Foothill Eastern item to request authorization to extend one contract amendment for the Joint Agency Strategic Planning Consulting Services. This is a one-year renewal, and this firm has been working with us this past year on our overall agency-wide strategic planning and outreach efforts to plan our long-term and address overall agency planning challenges. As is typical of our agency, we contract out nearly all of our services and efforts, and in case of our agency's long-term planning and vision, we need to work with experts in the areas of agency-wide strategic planning and execution of our agency initiatives, facilitation of long-term visioning and planning, assistance in agency-wide goal setting and objective planning, historical perspective of Orange County transportation and knowledge and understanding of past and present transportation legislation and transportation policy. Kurt Pringle and Associates brings this depth of historical knowledge to the agency, as well as an understanding of county-wide and statewide transportation policies that will help us structure our long-term planning efforts. Staff recommends authorizing the CEO to execute the following contract amendment. This contract amendment was reviewed and recommended to be brought forward to the board for approval at the April 25th, 2018 Joint Strategic Planning Ad Hoc Committee meeting, and these funds are included in the fiscal year 19 budget. With that, I can answer any questions you have.
Thank you very much, Directors. Do we have any questions on this agenda item? Director Ward?
Mike, I have a quick question.
Yes.
I was remembering what Kurt Pringle was hired for last year. This agency was for the public outreach and for the mobility working group to get through that. So this wording is interesting to me, that that 3 workshops were held, envisioning workshops with our executive staff and executive board members about setting up a framework for TCA's future. It sounds like that's a different work plan to me than what I remember approving for last year.
That is, well, last
Seems
year.
like it morphed a little.
Yes. Director Ward, last year, what we had was, this is a continuation of that contract. We did separate out Kurt Pringle and Associates for more agency-wide work, not just the Foothill Eastern efforts. And that was, it was more logical to have them have their own contract as well. And that is for the long-term planning purposes. Did conduct those workshops that you mentioned with the executive staff and selected board members.
Okay, but, so it is kind of a morph of the contract of what he initially started out to do. It seems like we figured out that this was more important to start looking at future planning, or the agency's future
It made,
in the year.
correct, Director Ward. It made sense for us to branch them out so that it was more agency-wide, covered both boards and not just with Foothill Eastern.
So what is meant by, let's see. There's something in there about Orange County and the state of California. No, I can't find it. Hold on.
Director Ward, we can come back to you.
No,
Director
no,
Marriott?
no, I see it right here. Historic, function within the regional transportation arena in Orange County and the state of California. So if we're doing Orange County transportation planning, what are we doing with the state of California? And as far as future planning?
A lot of legislation that comes through Sacramento does affect us, and those are handled primarily by Barbie's contracts through the advocacy services. But in terms of how we look to long-term plan for this agency, I think we need expertise to help us understand not only local but statewide transportation policy objectives.
Okay, so in a way, does this contract involve trying to plan for other projects that are not currently in our purview, such as the 241 Foothill Eastern or the San Joaquin Hills?
The purpose of this contract, when we say Orange County and the state, is working with our partners, which are state partners like Caltrans, and in Orange County, partners like OCTA, and in the region, partners like SCAG. So we work with all of those agencies, and this is assisting us in those efforts.
Of working with them, but not saying that the projects are anything but what our current joint powers agreement says they are. That's what I'm trying to determine.
I'm talking about future. We're authorizing a contract for the coming years worth of work in terms of our long-term visioning and then these other efforts. So what that will be developed as part of the work.
Okay, so what I hear is there's a lot of effort being made to change the visioning of this agency, because we shouldn't have to figure out what our long-term visioning is if we are here to build, and we all agreed to build these transportation corridors. We shouldn't have to figure this. So this is work that we don't need to pay for. And clearly, because it's not being answered. It is to change the vision of the agency. So, Consent
Thank
Committee
you.
will be opposing. That's
Director
not why we
Marriott?
got into this agreement.
So I think, thank you, Chair. So it's almost clarifying, but I think maybe an example. So if Mr. Pringle's doing big picture work, so he came in and did a meeting with our long-term planning committee, and it was kind of broad in nature and variety of discussion about past history and where we go in the future and so forth. He's wearing this hat. He has been helpful to me in disseminating some information more specific to the 241 extension. He's wearing his other hat under Venture Strategic as a sub, I presume. Right? I mean, the role is that clear. I presume it is. It should be. If he's working as a sub with Venture, he's working on the specific mobility. If he's doing a committee meeting with the planning committee, with whether you agree with its existence or not, it does exist. He's wearing his hat as a big picture strategist with TCA under this more specific contract.
Correct.
Thank you. Director Marriott, are you done? I assume so. Vice Chair Shea?
Yes, just briefly, just to discuss this issue of visioning, we're not going to be meeting as an executive visioning team to talk about, these major changes to send us in a different direction. It's because of so much of what has gone on in the last year or so and concerns from people, we want to look at the agency, what our JPA has directed us, what future accomplishments we can be moving into, but it isn't, our directive is not just to go and change the whole vision of this agency as suggested by Member Ward and somehow hiring a consultant to help us do that. That is not what we're anticipating. I'm looking forward to these visioning and understand. We've had several meetings before, and we did a real history walk. There were, 4 or 5 meetings that we just really walked through the history of the agency, talked about all kinds of things of what the legislative body did in Sacramento, how we came to be. It's been very educational, and I would hope in the future our entire might be able to have 2 or 3 meetings that we could have from the Pringle Group to share with us what we have, where we've come from. It's a real great education, especially for new board members. And I was back on the 90s and then came back and been back and forth, but it was very helpful for me. So that's really what we're looking to do and bringing the Pringle Group on. So I just wanted to be clear, it isn't to be going out clandestinely trying to find a whole new plan for the agency. That is really not what we're doing at all. I hope that clarifies that. Thank you.
Supervisor Bartlett?
Okay, thank you. So in my mind, items 17 through 19 are all kind of tied together with the grouping of all the consultants. And I'd be willing to make a motion on this item with the same caveat with regard to the work plan, because we need to know how this dovetails in with 17 and all the consultants and levies on 19. Put it all together so that we can get that big picture and figure out who's doing what, where we need contracts, where we can do on-call, what we need to change. So willing to make a motion on this item with the same caveat with respect to work plan.
I'll second that from Foothill.
So Supervisor Bartlett, so we're not confused, this motion is specifically to agenda item 18, you mentioned 19.
I just said, to me, the 3 items are tied in regard to the different types of consultants and lobbyists that we have.
So are you moving all 3 items?
No, we've already covered 17, we're now on 18, so this is specific just to item number 18.
Thank you, that was my
Yes,
question.
thank you.
Very much. And we have second, Director Murphy.
Just one quick comment too. I would suggest that those that have been most critical of the agency willing to invest in outside help to try and focus the energies towards within our JPA. So I look at it, maybe I'm in a glass half full and others are a glass half empty. But or no glass at all. I say glass, not class, by the way. Don't give me. But all joking aside, after the number of years the agency's been in place, a fresh perspective and somebody that's had experience watching the agency both internally and externally might bring some energy to refocus towards those things which we want to accomplish in a time. So I look at this as an investment from a positive standpoint, not any sort of negative or nefarious things that were suggested earlier about trying to look for the next great project, et cetera. I think it's a focusing thing that frankly, most companies do on a regular basis with outside help rather than relying on their inside management.
Director Moore?
Could you restate the motion so that we know what we're really voting on? Thank you.
Okay, so the motion I
No,
made.
No, could someone read it?
Oh.
And not your words, but how this is going to, what we're voting on? Because you stated that before, and then I realized later, I don't know that that was really down, so that we have a record of what we're voting on. Thank you.
Okay,
San Joaquin Hills Transportation Corridor Agency's recommendation authorize the CEO to execute amendment number 1 to contract number K001162 with Kurt Pringle and Associates in Anaheim, California, for a not-to-exceed amount of $36,000 for services through June 30th, 2019. Foothill Eastern Transportation Corridor Agency's recommendation, authorize the CEO to execute amendment number 1 for contract number K001162 with Kurt Pringle and Associates, Anaheim, California, for a not-to-exceed amount of $36,000 for services through June 30th, 2019.
Excuse me, clerk, I believe the question was to,
And in addition.
not the recommendation. Oh.
Yeah, and in addition, we, staff, or the board has requested staff to follow up in committee to work a work plan to analyze all the projects that they will be doing and provide an update through committee, and will brought back to the board.
Thank you.
Okay, it wasn't a request, it was a direct staff to bring this into the Strategic Financial Committee to create a detailed work plan with scope of work, deliverables, et cetera, and then bring that from the committee level to the full board for consideration.
Director
But
Moreno?
it is to approve the item before us today with regard to the dollars, et cetera.
Thank you. Director Moreno?
Again, similar to the previous item on, I think, the ensuing thread, I do have a little bit more of an intimate experience with trying to disentangle locally and regionally what we consider to be consultants / there's a difference. We should contract with consultants to provide exactly what Director Murphy said, and that to provide the expertise, to guide us, to provide us ideas of, are we getting off our vision, are we not, to remind us of that history. And then there's the lobbyist piece. Those are two different things to me. And it seems like increasingly in our city with some contracts, and what we're trying to disentangle is that some of these firms, a part of them are consultants and another part of their firm are lobbying at the same time. And so for myself to feel fully comfortable that we're trying to build up as much public trust as we can, I cannot support these contracts because it's unclear to me that through any policies that we might have, when these agencies go from consulting to lobbying, oftentimes in ways that, again, create serious breaches of trust within our public in Anaheim, but also regionally as well, for us when a lot of these public relations firms, community relations firms, are themselves involved in the electoral politics efforts of things that may be counter to member cities. So unless there is a formal distinction within our policies between consultants and lobbyists, I will not be supporting these contracts, and do appreciate that staff is trying to pursue the best expertise they can have, but for me, it's just too uncomfortable from
Thank
the
you
city
very
of
much,
Anaheim.
Director Moreno. Any other comments? Thank you. A motion and a second on this item.
So Chairman, I'm sorry, I did pose the question, is there a difference between consultants and lobbyists in the mind of the TCA or directors?
There is in my mind, a huge, that's one of the reasons why I think the work plan is going to be essential, because that'll help delineate the scope of work being and consulting. But to me, they're two different things.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So, seeing no further discussion, all those in favor?
I need a second for San Joaquin.
Do we have a second for San Joaquin?
I'll second.
Thank you very much. Do we have to vote on them separately? Thank you. Jointly, we will vote on them. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
San Clemente opposes.
Thank you very much. The item passes. We now move on to item number 19. Mr. Chesney.
Thank you, Chair Sachs. We'll load up our PowerPoint. Item before you is a Field Eastern item only to request authorization to extend 4 contract amendments and 1 contract task order for the Strategic Planning Department's consultant services. These are all one-year renewals, and these 5 consultants or consultant teams have been working with us this past year on our planning and outreach efforts to address the mobility South Orange County region. Again, as is typical of our agency, We contract out nearly all of our services and efforts, specifically working with experts in the area of strategic planning and stakeholder engagement, digital and traditional media communications, regional and regulatory agency outreach, environmental coalition coordination, and development of succinct and detailed discussion points and documents on a variety of issues that we disseminate to the board. As TCA moves forward into the formal environmental process as prescribed by CEQA and NEPA, ongoing analysis and public education regarding the various stages of project development is necessary as we continue to engage stakeholders, assess concerns, and consider ideas relative to traffic relief. Our team includes consultants that have a broad array of experience and contacts. Their scopes of work entail very distinct and separate responsibilities while being able to coordinate effectively with the rest of the team to be able to accomplish our tasks. These consultants perform TCA extension of staff activities and duties, working closely with us to communicate and educate our stakeholders on the South County relief efforts. In FY19, the next step in our process involves continuing to expand public education through direct consumer and grassroots communications, further expand our regional outreach to municipalities and counties bordering South Orange County that are impacted by worsening traffic, continue working with the media by facilitating access to information and regular in-depth briefings, and broadening our agency's strategic outreach to key regional stakeholders. Finally, as previously stated, as we move into the formal environmental phase of the South County traffic release, the work to be provided specifically by Venture Strategic and our team is going to be very labor intensive, as they are providing support for the prescribed Caltrans, CEQA, and NEPA process, including public scoping, necessary public hearings, and these are required components with various needs within each step.
We don't have this written, do we? Only you're providing it on here?
That's right, but there's a full staff report in your book.
But I didn't see it in here.
There's a full staff report?
I'm looking page that you have, the very first one.
This one?
That one. No, it's earlier. That one.
That one, yeah, this is my PowerPoint. I could provide this to you, though.
No, I just wanted to look at that again. Thank
Sure.
you.
Okay. All right. With that, authorizing the CEO to execute the following task orders and amendments. The first is task order number 4 for contract K000983 with Venture Strategic for a not to exceed amount, and this is a T&M based contract for $1.8 million, services through 2019. The second is authorizing the CEO to execute Amendment 7 for contract K000859, and this is for Richard Katz Consulting, and this is for not to exceed amount of $93,600. Sorry, I should look up here. And that is a retainer. The third is authorizing the CEO to execute Amendment 8 for contract K000775, and that's for Latimer Partners, and that is for $63,600, again, another retainer-based contract. Fourth, authorizing the CEO to execute Amendment 15, contract K000062, Packard Government Affairs, again, retainer-based contract for $60,000, services through June 30th, 2019. And finally, number 5, authorizing the CEO to execute Amendment 22 for contract K00057, Barrios and Associates Communications Lab for not to exceed amount of $360,000. This is a time and materials-based contract, not a retainer. I will also like to mention these were brought through the Joint Strategic Planning Ad Hoc Committee meeting on April 25th, 2018. And I mentioned that these consolidated contracts compared to last year is $108,000 less. We had some consolidation of our consulting work. Some sub-consultants were folded under Jeff Corliss's Venture Strategic contract, and we were able to reduce the overall amount by $108,000. That I can answer any questions.
Thank you, Director Bartlett.
Okay, so to get through this quickly, I know we have people that need to leave. These are all great firms. Again, I'll make the motion to approve, again, with the caveat with regard to the work plan, bring it through the Strategic Financial Ad Hoc Committee, and then vet it there and bring it up to the board. So I think appropriate, you've got these firms, you've got the Kurt Pringle firm in item number 18, and then the firms that are in 17. You know, put that into one matrix that can be presented to the committee for consideration and then brought to the full board, so that we've got the full picture of everything for the next, essentially.
Yes.
On behalf of Foothill, I'll second that. I like the clarity of having scope of work added to it, so thank you.
Thank you. Director Moreno?
I won't belabor the point. I just want to, just for the record, say that my concerns still hold with this contract as well. And again, from staff, on how we might begin to look at disentangling this question of consultants and lobbyists. They consult with us, but lobby somewhere else. And while I'll not support the motion, I do support Director Bartlett's call for making sure that the work plans are clear. So I do appreciate that with each of these contracts.
Director Marriott?
Yeah, Mike, thank you for the presentation. Can you, so you have the graph that describes some focus areas. So a couple of questions. Can you walk through them and just summarize their history and rough start time in their association with our firm? So Venture Strategic, whose focus is and planning.
Right.
When did they roughly contract initially with the
Yeah,
firm?
Venture
With us?
Strategic contracted with us in 2015 with a small initial task order, and then subsequent task orders have been re-upped. And they act as our master consultant for strategic planning. Their contract, and also survey work, focus groups, polling, and so there's a lot of reimbursable costs included in their 1.8 million.
Latimer?
Latimer is Tom Soto Partners. I'm trying to think when we brought them on, Mike. Roughly 2010. The Tom Soto main efforts with us is relations with our labor groups and our resource agencies, and I am with him up in Sacramento talking to the Water Board, Air Board, and EPA. We're doing this extensively prior to engaging them on a permitting process when we cannot talk to them, and so there's a lot that we're doing with them at this time. Richard Katz Consulting is one of the, I'll say, architects of the settlement agreement, as well as now the continued coordination and outreach to the Save San Onofre Coalition, all the environmental groups. I'm trying to think when they came on, Mike. Roughly in the frame, retainer basis. Packard Government Affairs, our strong government advocate firm in San Diego. Barbie, help me out on this. 2002. And this has been especially important for us with the SANDAG coordination, especially with their long-range plan and their plan to bring each direction on I-5 toll lanes up to the county line. They've gone through a number of leadership changes there, and Packard Government Affairs has been able to keep us in front of them with the different executive leadership. And then Barrios Communications Lab, Brian Lockery, is our local community outreach. The amount of staff augmentation, we use their staff. Our department is 2 people, so we use them quite often on a lot of our outreach efforts, and it concentrates mainly on grassroots outreach in not only the areas where our projects are, but all the surrounding communities where we can get our messages out.
Thank you. So this is a pretty sizable sum. What is the process? The comment was made earlier that we use consultants instead of staffing, but the world has a pretty defined process for evaluation and accountability of what is our process for consultants?
Particularly for these contracts, Director, I get a detailed progress report every month from all these consultants, even on a retainer-based contracts. But specifically, Venture and Barrios, they're the 2 larger dollar amounts, and they're on an hourly basis. We approve and we assign tasks based on what the needs are. And so every month, I go through a very detailed, not only a progress report, but hours. I look at who's charging them. And we have a pretty good idea. Again, 2 people, so we count on a lot of folks from our consulting team with not only day-to-day tasks in terms of getting materials produced, but also at going to events. You know, we don't have a lot of staff, so we have them with us and helping us in presentations.
Those were 3 of them Saturday morning.
As I heard, it was a very good community.
Hell of a turnout, buddy.
And that's, Brian Lockery does an excellent job in that, in my opinion, and represents the agency well, has a deep history with the agency, and understands the concerns and issues of the communities.
I appreciate that explanation. I would just augment that the primary oversight of this work is through the Strategic Planning Act, in addition to the staff oversight. But every one of those committee meetings, this is a big part. Much like the marketing contract that you approved earlier is overseen by the marketing committee, these contracts are overseen by the Strategic Planning Committee.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I hear some accountability. I hear a lot of evaluation of performance. And I'm, you know, I arrived today intending to vote against these. We had some thoughtful presentations earlier by the public. As well done as it was, you know, none of it, there was nothing new there for me. This, as CEO Kramer knows, my hesitation this morning prior even to arrival, it's hard because most of this flows around the mobility and the 241 extension or not to extend or look at some other options and so forth. And it's hard from my seat and with 17 or so months to have a view of it to successful. There's been a variety of things that I think have been particularly unsuccessful. And when I look at performance in that particular project, I have to look relative to the community ascertainment study because that was sort of their foundation. That was the work plan, if you will. And I don't my point, but there's a variety of things that, to me, that seem like they're a disconnect with that in the success or failure department. You know, I'll touch on a couple that are just more meaningful. We have managed to work up the maximum number of residents in South Orange County that we can work up, and work up in a very, very meaningful way. I mean, the one in life, there aren't too many things that are consistent in the working world. Human nature is very consistent. That's the one thing that is 100% consistent. There's nothing different about the people in San Clemente versus other communities. Human nature is very, very consistent. And if you're a young couple today trying to sell your home, or any couple trying to sell your home, bring somebody in from another community to take a look, and they're driving down the streets and every 4th house they go by has a sign that says no toll road through San Clemente, you're going to have a hell of a time selling your home to that couple coming in. And we, you know, we may see that develop in other communities. We've made up the maximum number, and those that we've managed to keep in a less anxious place are starting to get very, very worked up. We have managed to get a public admonishment from our 2 legislators relevant to the area, as well as our outgoing congressman. We have stories in the press that have been left hanging without clarification, and I would submit to you that if you polled individual board members at this time and sequestered them and asked them to do a couple of paragraphs on exactly where we stood, you'd get probably at least 10 different variations of where we stand. I sit and look at it, and to me, it's a failure. It's an absolute failure. I can't find exceptionalism anywhere in what I've witnessed the last 16 or 18 months. I really can't. I don't think it's any one individual's fault, but I have to believe that these made a lot of money were part of the development of the strategy itself. And the strategy itself, I'm told, is we're breaking new grounds here. To take 15 or 20 ideas, have them come up through the public, and create the spaghetti map, if you will, is not typically done in other parts of the state, as I understand it. Strategy, either the strategy or the execution is just bad from in terms of performance evaluation. My gut feeling is it's a little bit of both, but the outcome is terribly, terribly unhealthy in terms of where we're at. And I have time frames concerns because I can't see anywhere in the process that we couldn't have been at 6 or 8 months ago. So not only do we have folks under maximum anxiety, which is creeping very much into my city now in a very meaningful way. Again, we had about 50 people out Saturday morning. that pressure will continue to mount. But I think we've probably at this point managed to make about every mistake we can. We had the community ascertainment study talks a lot about communication with the public and the events for communication. The one major one we had was not ideal. The follow-up was not ideal. I'm particularly appalled that option 21, the hybrid route, with all these possibilities laid out 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, that strategy wasn't laid out at the time. How we could possibly throw up 18 to 20 ideas and not have is a terrible failure to me. Lapata was clearly not built for people in San Clemente to bring their kids to high school. It's been very helpful to that end, but that's clearly not what it was built for. It's a super freeway, basically. So I'm particularly disappointed that we didn't have that one in the original mix. Some that are still in the mix. If you go back and watch the board meeting where we added 9 and 18, where we effectively approved the spaghetti, if you will, 9 and 18 wasn't even a notion. And then Director Ward spoke up, and me and my infinite wisdom said, yeah, why isn't it on there, CEO Cramen? And we threw it on. And remarkably, it's still on there, and my understanding is it's going to stay on. So I'm hard-pressed to find anything in here that has been done particularly well, and I think it's a flawed strategy to begin with. And frankly, I think we should go back to the drawing board. And as stewards of this agency to bless this failed strategy, we're complicit in it at some level. I mean, it has not been a well-executed strategy, and again, I think it's a flawed strategy to begin with. When it comes to the PR piece, the inclusions that's unnecessarily combative with residents is deeply, deeply disappointing. And this exists. This is not made up. This exists, and it's very real. And that, to me, is particularly worrisome. So I'm obviously, and I would suggest that my colleagues on the board look very hard at the process that's unfolding and how it's unfolding, because we just don't. Maybe the strategy is not flawed, and maybe we have no choice but to be where we are and no choice but to keep X number on for these reasons and that reason. But we do not have the right talent set in the mix here. We absolutely don't. And to spend $2+ million for the wrong talent to execute on behalf of staff that we can't staff up to do. I get the staffing strategy, but to continue with the wrong talent on this strategy is absolutely foolhardy.
Thank you, Director. Director Bartlett?
And that's one of the reasons why I suggested that, we approve what we've got today, but with the caveat, we flesh this out at the committee level through the strategic financial planning ad hoc. And details of the work plan, scope of work, deliverables, et cetera, that's where we're going to be able to figure out, okay, are we on the right path and having the right firms in place, doing the things that we need to do here at the agency, and then bring that to the full board. So I think we need to continue, at least, with this item, get things moving forward, but get things right over to the ad hoc committee and start working through that process. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Ward.
I appreciate your statement. I think you voiced
Excuse me,
what-
Director Moore. Called on
I
Director.
thought you said
Director
Moore.
Ward.
Okay,
I'll
Ward,
try to
sorry.
enunciate better.
Okay. You have to finish that D.
It's a really hard name to actually say with it, too. I say war all the time. I would agree with what Director Marriott said. It goes with what I said last time we voted $1.8 million for Venture Strategic. I told the board then that we should be very concerned that we're giving $1.8 million to this firm after I had seen what had happened at different public forums. One thing that I want to point out that this board's not aware of, and it absolutely did happen, is that Venture Strategic, specifically Jeff Corliss, bought a domain name of a group of stakeholders, of residents, trying to give information to people against the toll road, bought their domain name and took their site down.
Oh, my.
And it was checked out that it was bought by Jeff Corliss. It deleted thousands of comments, documents that they had put out, all of them were erased. So to me, and I've seen that is not the goal of this agency, to engage the public and give out
So Director
information.
Ward, if you're going to make accusations, I think you should be,
It's not an accusation. I'm
You
sticking
just
up
made
for
an
my,
accus-
I'm
an
sorry.
accusation.
I'm sticking up for my residents, and this can
That's
be
fine.
verified.
You've
It
made-
can be
excuse me.
verified. So, wait,
then you
I have
need
the
to
floor.
present the verification to the board member.
Me, just my displeasure with this and the process, I agree. We need to go back. It's been flawed from the beginning, and I have said that. Having the green alignment, putting in another alignment, not telling everyone at a public forum and then settling it out. The whole thing from the very beginning has been a bait and switch, and this process has not gone well. I don't see it going well in the future. And I agree, you keep throwing money at it. Venture Strategic's account has stayed the same for every year, except for when they very first, but I can't vote for these because I just see more of the same, and I know intimately what's going on, and I'm sorry that the rest of the board does not, but it's not working. And if we go back and really evaluate what we were going to do, we took away the green alignment, what did that mean? Maybe the board really meant, and we thought we had other choices and other alignments, maybe we don't. But we're just going on, and this ball's rolling, and I don't know if there's time limits that we have to meet, because I'm not privy to those, but it isn't going well. So I say, do not vote for these. More millions of dollars wasted, and it's not getting anywhere.
Thank you very much. Director Moore, did you have comment?
I did. I too want to support your statement. I thought it was very well and clearly articulated. I did attend one of the outreach, and it was, that was why I formed my opinion. An outreach should be to at least leave a neutral or a positive if you can, and it did not do that. That's exactly what I saw. It was a very negative situation, and it managed to, I felt, stimulate anger I was disappointed in the way it was done. So I concur with your statement. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Director Shea, followed by Director Voigt.
Yes, I appreciate the opportunity. Just a couple things. One, when we were voting for these contracts, I just want to be clear so the board get confirmation from Director Bartlett. We're voting for these annual contracts, but we are going to come back and look at a work plan, understand delineation of effort. So as we move into the coming budget year, then we can relook at this and make a decision. So I just don't want people to feel like, we're voting for them to open up all these contracts and redo it. I don't assume that's what your suggestion is. Is that correct? I just want to get that cleared up, just in case there's any misunderstanding.
So my thought is approve what we have today, bring everything into the strategic financial planning ad hoc, along with the other two agenda items and contracts, together that detailed work plan with scope of work, deliverables, time commitments and everything, and figure out what we want moving forward. So it gives us an opportunity to look at everything together collectively and then tweak it where we think we need to make some appropriate changes.
But you're not suggesting we're reopening up the contracts and we've just approved a year contract appropriate. You're not saying that, correct?
I'm saying we always have the ability to change things in the future, and if we need to change a particular contract to an on-call, we have the ability to do that. So, but let that be vetted at the committee level, and then bring it to the full board for
Okay.
discussion.
Well, I just want to be on the record, if we're voting for a year contract for these folks, they need to have the security, they have that year contract, and, doing what you're suggesting as we move forward to clarify, fix, tweak, whatever we need to do to make contracts moving forward tighter and more understandable. I'm totally great with that. Let me just go to this other issue here. Number one, Mr. Marriott, I appreciate your comments. I appreciate comments, and even Director Moore's comments. But we have a division here on this board. We have different board members that want to shut this whole process down. And so I understand why it's easy to throw rocks at our consultants and insult them in public, which I do not think is appropriate. I think our consultants have done a good directive, and I will give a suggestion that recently in our city, I've spent 3 years working on an alternative plan to provide a veteran cemetery in my city for free for our veterans. And we put together a great plan. It was a swap of property, had already been approved to another site to give the veterans the opportunity full site. We had political operatives in our city start creating this huge, monstrous outpour of negative, false information. They scared the entire daylights out of our public. Oh, you're going to get all this development, all these cars, all this horrible stuff. And eventually, on our, they defeated and killed a veterans cemetery. There's absolutely no way I even understand how it ever come about. But I know politics, we all do. We know what people can do when they're aggressively in opposition to something. And I appreciate the comments here, but the fact of the matter is we have a process. We need consultants to get through that process, whatever that decision may be. And it's not going to be 4 or 5 years from now anyway. If in fact we believe our consultants need to speak with us as a board through committee to tweak and change and maybe relook at the direction. But they're really working with us under the direction. So I'm personally insulted by some of these comments that have been made. I think it's just inappropriate that we're publicly trying to humiliate our consultants that are hired to do a good job. If we feel that they're not doing a good job, I appreciate that fact, but I think we've gone too far in how we're expressing our sense of we vote against it if we don't like them. We vote for them if we like them, but I'm supportive of the process to go through to a point that we may get to a point we don't even do a project. But at least we should have the ability to get to that point in a constructive way without constantly, like I had to go through with these folks yelling, lying about so many things, because there's been false information on both sides. I have personally been attacked by San Clemente resident that has come to my city, run up a bill of $6,000 getting public records on me. I don't live in San Clemente. I have nothing to do with San Clemente. And it's all about me to run a negative campaign because I happen to want to sit here as a director and follow through with the process and trying to find some success, some way to get to the 4 to 5 year point that we either say yay or nay to a certain, it could be a no build, it could be nothing, it could be something. But I don't, Records Act, my city doesn't deserve $6,000 worth of bills to do this, and I take offense at that. So I think we need to move forward, support and be respectful of those people that we hire. And if you don't like it, I get it. But with that, I'm going to support the contract.
Thank you very much, Director Voits.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Call for the vote.
Director,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Director Miniger.
I'm not a part of this decision-making process because it's a Foothill Eastern item. But I just have one overall observation, and that is in reference to the 5 firms or 5 teams that are your decision-making process. I just have one basic question. In any kind of public procurement process, I presume that the TCA went through a highly competitive process. You issued RFPs or RFQs, and then you interviewed all the firms, all the teams, and that we see here presented to you to vote upon happen to be the best out of all the firms. Correct, Mr. CEO Kramer?
So the Venture Strategic, this will be what, the 3rd year of a 5-year contract that we awarded in 2015?
4th year.
20,
If it's 15, it'll be, this is 18.
right, through a competitive process where we had a number of firms respond. Some of the other consultants here, Vladimir, Richard Katz, some of these go back and I wasn't here when they came on board, so I can't answer that all directly to you.
Well, it was based on RFP process.
Just a second, folks.
Just a point of order, if I could.
Point of
No
order.
disrespect to my good colleague, but just from a legal perspective, and I know it's confusing when we have 2 boards sitting up here and the rest, but since you're not on the Foothill Eastern board, my guess is you're citizen. We just need to perhaps do it from the right venue or something. I'll look to legal counsel because I'm not in any other meeting like this either where there are 2 boards and separate votes and everything, but I just want to make sure we stay on the straight and narrow from a
So
legal standpoint.
just while I appreciate the point of order, Director Moore is not on the Foothill board as well, but as a courtesy to people who are affected by Orange County mobility, I personally allowed to call on these people. Whether that is wrong or right, I have no idea. If you want to go by strict nature, I'm happy to do so and no longer take any comments from anyone who's not on the board. Again, it was only as a courtesy to allow people to have their comments.
And I appreciate courtesy as well for everybody concerned. And
Thank you.
I thought I prefaced it well that way too, but I'm just trying to make sure that what we do up here is legal, any sort of review later on.
Thank you, Director, for your comments. Director Marino?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just want to thank Director Marriott for his comments. I think he articulated what I've been struggling with this whole morning and over the past years. Again, some of the processes and the outcomes that we've heard from the public and that myself feel strangely familiar to me of what we've experienced in our city and neighboring cities. And a lot of the players there are some of the players here. And so maybe it is, I like how you said that, maybe it's just the wrong talent in the wrong place at the wrong time. So I appreciate those comments. I do for staff, which is if we do not support these contracts today, what are the consequences? If we don't support it, might there be, if not, an option to continue this item so that we can understand this better, more deeper, or maybe to see if there's other firms that might serve us better? Because I don't want to approve a contract if it's clear that some directors already feel like it's been a failure. Even with the addition of we're now going to have work plans to better evaluate, but it does seem to me that the tactics that we've seen and how the public has reacted have not been quite successful. So what would be the consequences if the directors vote no today?
And June 30th of this fiscal year.
So what are the consequences then if we vote no?
We would not have them under contract beginning July 1, and we would not be able to utilize their services.
And what does that mean for the agency?
We're in a very critical point right now with our process with Caltrans moving. So it's important that these be approved. I do appreciate Director Bartlett's suggestion of working with the committee in terms of the work scope, but we're in a process working with our partners at Caltrans that have things that need to get done right now. So that, in back to Director Marriott's comment, which I really appreciate, is, people wondering where is this process leading, what is happening. I think it's important that we keep this process moving so that we can answer those questions for those people.
Okay, thank you. Director Marriott, followed by Director Voigt.
Yeah, so one thought on Director Bartlett's proposal is I don't know that there's the same sense of vagueness with regard to the primary effort here and the talent associated with it there is with some of the other lobbying and consulting work. Perhaps there is, but my sense is there's not. So I'm not sure her amended motion really fits the bill for this, because I think we have a lot to look at here, and which is a good deal of abject failure. Director Shea made a point about a set of circumstances that's come about as this project. And, in any corporate environment, Mike, somebody would be, if that were you who did it, or if you were a part of the talent mix that led to that with somebody from an affected community coming up and filing a public act request and so forth, and effectively making some trouble, you'd be asked about it. Hey, what do you think of that? What did you do to contribute to that? How could you have handled that better? There'd be performance evaluation. We are replacing staff with consultants, and there's no performance evaluation. The strategic committee, its broad strokes, work roles, et cetera, but there isn't the accountability. The project is an ascertainment study which sort of laid the blueprint for perhaps a flawed strategy. Very difficult set of circumstances. I'm sure very well-meaning people, but that's a tall order. Take a flawed strategy and execute it to perfection, in a very high-stakes environment with emotional people. Very, very tall order. Our questions of our talent, which is, are you even self-aware enough to understand where we went wrong and where we contributed to some of the problems? We don't have a process for it. That's clear to me. And that's a little bit troubling as well, because this is a good deal of money. My substitute motion would be to extend the contracts for 1 quarter with the full sum as their primary task, and then some clarification around their role, prior to extending perhaps for 3/4. That would be my substitute motion.
Does
That
the
would not
maker of the
interrupt the-
motion have a wish to accept the amended motion?
No, I think we have enough things that are in progress right now. We're battling back on AB 382. And there are some things that are extremely critical to this agency, very timely. The board always has the ability to tweak contracts. We have a termination for convenience clause. Let's get this approved and let's bring it all to the strategic planning ad hoc and get things kind of fleshed out and then figure out what we want on a moving forward basis. But we cannot have a gap in services. We don't even meet until August. And these contracts expire at the end of June. We're in legislative season right now, and we've got things that are facing us right now that are critical with regard to local control. So I think we really need to get things moving forward today, and we can work things through the ad hoc and make the necessary changes, then bring it to the full board for a very robust discussion. But we cannot have a gap in services, and just a Band-Aid of a month or two doesn't really make sense, because we have things that are needing to get to speak. So.
Thank you, Supervisor. Director Voights.
Yeah, I'm supporting the motion made because the fact is continued research, outreach into the communities affected, and no disrespect to my fellow council members or fellow directors from other neighboring cities, but that's the view of their region and their cities. But the fact is not all, and the fact is that the I-5 is such a corridor for state commerce, tourism, that goes north and south. Anything we can do to relieve that with the new incoming housing, I want to be fully informed on that, and I want to keep all my options open. And so the fact is that our continued research into the communities that are affected to be weighed, and the fact that this jury is still out of where we're going to go and what we're going to do. And so I think that I call for the vote because I have to leave for lunch.
So there's been a call for the vote, which needs to be honored, but I'm fresh here. And while I appreciate the other members that have had conversations, Director Beal has not spoken, and I'd like to allow him to speak, and then I have some comments following before the vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll be brief. I want to put it on the record. I disagree really strongly with comments we've heard today. It's my observation that we are hearing only from one side of this issue. And I will speak on behalf of my city and our people, and we strongly support the mission of the TCA and the process that we have put in place. And politically charged issue, I get it, but we're only hearing from one side, and nobody should be confused by that. We need to keep this process moving. Almost every comment we have heard is from someone who wants to stop TCA's mission, who doesn't really want to see progress further, who is offering no solution or alternative other than stop it, who would like to abolish the TCA to stop any progress, who would prefer to stop any more public outreach, who doesn't want the public to hear TCA's position because only, and it's not always accurate. And so the process that we have put in place is designed to provide honest, true facts to the public so that they can make fully informed decisions and not make decisions based upon emotion and misinformation that some in this community are putting out. They would prefer a transportation corridor agency, and I oppose that strongly. So just because we hear loud voices, no one should be confused that they are the only voices, that there's only one strain of thought, because in my opinion, that is not the case. We need to further the TCA's agenda, keep this process going forward. The consultants who are representing us in these contracts are representing the TCA and furthering the votes that this agency has taken in the past, and that's why I will be supporting it.
Thank you very much. And I would like to add my comments before we take a vote on this thing. We sit here and we hear information that is either confused truths. I analogize this to someone telling us what was written in the Constitution without bringing up the amendments to the Constitution. The confusion any one of us has between a consultant and a lobbyist is cleared up through the FPPC, it's cleared up through and legislation that's already put out. And it is the First Amendment right of everyone, whether they're a business or not, to have their First Amendment free speech rights, and they can do whatever they wish to do. You can choose to follow it, or you can choose to oppose it as you wish. We need, goes out and dispels the myths, mistruths, and all of the other allegations that are made. That there was a slide brought up today that was from 2013. So, I mean, there's a lot of data out there that needs to be revised. This agency could have gone to other transportation agencies and said, you know what, we're going to do this exactly the same way Caltrans and other agencies have done in the past. Here's the road that's coming through. It's approved. You want to bitch about it, go ahead, but there's nothing you can do about it. This agency took the opportunity to involve the public in what was needed and what they wanted to do. That's how we came up with the different routes and opinions. The reasons that we came up with some and not others, we accepted every possible route, whether we had purview over that route or not. So I get it, and to talk about the green alignment, San Clemente had their chance to speak on the green alignment, and they chose to go the opposite direction. And to bring up accusations without proof and evidence, just to throw them out there, I think is so disingenuous, and it's unbelievable that anyone would just throw that out there and think that just because of something that you thought happened without any documentation, you want to bring up accusations, you bring forward the proof of those accusations. This committee, whether you were on it or not at the time, went through all of these contracts. That was an RFP process that guaranteed a certain period of time and then renewals. We were at a renewal. We were taking a diligent look at the renewals and trying to understand more direction from this board by having the matrix pulled out and for people to understand what the expectations, more of an opportunity to understand what these consultants are doing and how they are doing it. So just the education that's needed is incredible based on, and I won't call them lies, like people just don't understand. They read one, think it's something. I have people coming to my council all the time that try to tell me what the law is without having any clue what the law is. So I just find all of this a little astounding, and I appreciate everyone's concern. But if you are confused as to what a lobbyist is, then I believe it's time for you to understand those differences. And if you believe one way, that's how you believe, and you're certainly allowed to express your opinion on this board. But we have taken extraordinary time, and I think the idea that we have a method in place now to try to delineate is fine. It's been accepted on the prior two agenda items, and I now ask all board members who are on the Foothill Eastern Toll Road to vote this item number 19. All those in favor, please vote by saying aye.
Aye.
No.
Thank you very much. The item passes. We now move to closing this session. There's no need for further comments. So we go now to the Chief Executive's report.
No report today, sir.
No report today. Any directors' reports and any new business discussion?
The public earlier public comment had asked for the TCA to please post all past EIR reports. I think they said from 2002 and 2003, but you'll know what they are. All past EIR reports that having to do with the extensions. So I'm just bringing that up because they did
I'll
make that
look into
request.
that.
Okay. And then the other thing that I would like to ask for is, we heard rumor, and it was said in these reports that a PSR report has been sent to Caltrans. And so I would ask that be board members so that we know what has been sent to Caltrans and any comments that they had, just so we're updated, because I'm not sure why that didn't come to the board, so we can see what's happening. I mean, we're
thank
all
you.
wondering where we're at. It would be nice to see what the PSR says, so we just kind of know where we are at in the process.
So we're working to get the release of that document authorized.
Thank you very much. And I want to make any other director comments? I want to make a correction. I said we were showing a slide from 2013. The slide was from 2003, just for that correction. Also invite any members of this board, any directors of this board who are not on a specific committee. You can come and sit in and hear all the work that is done on these committees before any of this gets to the board overall. So there's nothing in secret, nothing that's out of line being done here. Everyone has their own opinion, and Constitution of the United States and God allow that to happen. And you can disagree with anything that you want to disagree, but please understand the process and what's been gone through and how it's been managed. Just until July 4th. Thank you. I'm sorry, August some number.